you. Good evening, everybody. This is a regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting, Tuesday, April 28, 2015 at 7:30. I want to remind everybody that we're being recorded by our local
Access television.
Access Television. So what's your P's and Q's, I guess? I'd probably more towards me than you guys. But before we start the meeting, I'd like to ask if you'd like to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have an agenda here tonight on paper. I want to ask the board members if there's anything they'd like to add or to the agenda.
I know, but I just noticed the time, so I thought I would just plug it one more time. So we have a Hops for Hops on Saturday, June 6th. It's a 5K to benefit our playground. And you can sign up on friendsofhops.weebly.com, or you can go to RaceWire and just search the Hop for Hops. And last year I think we had close to 300 runners, and it would be great if we had at least that this year. So far we have like 75 people signed up, and we've got some corporate sponsors. We have a lot of local businesses that have been supporting our cause to rebuild the playground. So the Hop for Hops. So that's June 6th.
Great.
That's it.
Troy, you good?
Yeah, I just wanted to welcome Kim back. You know, there was empty space between us, and now it's filled.
Only if you came in, it was empty in.
Yeah.
The only other thing is, I don't know whether it's going to be necessary, but you may wish to go into executive session concerning the sergeant's contract.
Would that be at the end of the night?
The Indian note.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Anyway,
Good.
wait a minute, when you say end of the night, is that midnight or is that?
It's all up to the three of you, as long as you want to be here.
Okie dokie.
All right, Troy, you have some stuff would you like to take care of before we get rolling?
Well, we have the approval of minutes for March 10th, 2015. Has everybody had an opportunity to peruse them?
Yes.
Yep, that was the 5:30 start.
Yep.
Yep.
And I would move those at this time.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
I would also like to move and affirm the following warrants. Payroll warrant number 88 for $335,163.21. Vendor warrant number 89 for $23,276.90. And withholding warrant number 90 for $123,404.51.
Second.
Any further discussion other than I abstain? Police payroll warrant 88. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move and approve the payment of the following warrant commitments. Vendor warrant number 91 for $258,747.75. And ambulance commitment 4A for $25,227.12.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. And I'd like to move for approval of the Selectmen bills. Selectmen's expense account. WB Mason Incorporated, $100.90. LED sign account. Complete sign deposit for sign package, $10,579. Straight up. Insurance account, CNA surety, direct bill, CNA surety bill. Total amount $1,225. No cents. Town hall electricity, National Grid, $1,517.07, and that's a monthly bill for 30 days, from 3/18 to 4/17/15. Youth and Rec concession and expenditure is the last bill, and that's for National Grid, the electricity, $20.66. And that completes the presentation.
Second.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We'd also like to acknowledge the Selectmen's payroll for 4/18/15, $6,229.64, and the turnover for 2015-68, $424.21. That completes.
Presentation for the moment. We still have a few more minutes. Guys, anything like you throw out first?
Just more to mail file, we do have notification from Silver Lake about the change in this year's budget. It's the snow and ice, their own snow and ice account. They had an overage that they need to fund, they want to take the money out of E&D. We'll have an article at town meeting for that particular purpose. It'll be at the special, that's $160,000 that they ran over on snow and ice.
A lot of snow.
Yeah, you talked about this roof, Karen mentioned
Yeah,
roof
we're kind of
clearing.
showing
This
the roof.
roof and also just even just the parking lots themselves. Congregational churches requested to use the town hall grounds to hold their annual church cookout on June 7th. That's a Sunday. Time is from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They've done this in the past without any problems.
I'll make a motion that we approve the use of the green for the Congregational Church on June 7th.
Second. There's no conflict on it.
He beat me.
No, the house is on the 6th.
So that's fine?
Yep.
So Congregational Church Annual Cookout, Town Hall grounds, Sunday, June 7th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I pray it's a nice day. It rhymes. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Britain's Distributing, which is now the developer for the Two River Farm subdivision, has asked that the town not proceed on using the money that was set aside in the bank book for the infrastructure completion for the subdivision because they're intending to finish the work by the end of August. We have two articles on the town meeting warrant. First is to accept a certain statute that would then allow us to appropriate the money. And certainly would be recommending that we continue and approve that. The second is, after talking with town council and with the planning board representative, I think the best thing to do on the second article, which is actually appropriate the money out of the passbook, is make that contingent upon the not completing the work by August 31st. That way we won't have to go to another town meeting and be able to appropriate the money. But it won't take the money out of the passbook if they actually get the work done.
So when we have our pre-town meeting with the moderator, we're gonna make sure that that's not too much of a change to edit?
Correct.
Okay.
And what if they, it doesn't happen by August 15th and they need it another 30 days?
Well, they've got the letter right here. They're saying they will use, they're gonna get the work done by the 31st.
Let's take it at their word.
I mean, obviously, if we get to the 31st, they, wow, I need another week, then the planning board can make a decision whether they want to wait another week or something, because this is gonna be within the planning board's jurisdiction.
They can extend it beyond the approved by town meeting?
Right. I mean, we can't use the money if they've done it by August 31st. We can, meaning it's permissible, but it's not required to start spending the money on September 1st.
Yeah, I just don't want them tripping us up.
Right.
We could actually get it done if something happens and they don't.
Right, and that's what we'll have it set up, is that if they haven't completed the job by the 31st, the planning board can move forward. They don't have to,
Okay.
so we'll be able to.
Okay, well, we have an 7:40. We're going in. Make this as fun as possible. I'm gonna ask them, the chief, a couple of questions ahead while I get them all here, to try to break them in with what would be the score for them if they became citizens.
Oh, please don't.
Let them know how we
Don't be scared, you guys.
operate. No.
Who's your bodyguard?
Yeah.
Which one? My niece and my daughter.
sorry, I had to. They'll be out.
That's all right, Hey, I had a agreement with Owen, he wouldn't have anybody look better than me. Okay, I was talking about the lady.
Derek, I'm totally taking it.
You just have to slide
It's a proud day.
And you guys bless the congregation here.
This is like the best. So excited.
Okay. Yeah.
You're not going to start anything?
Okay, chief, you got some handsome guys in here.
You girl.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the uniform, it threw me off.
Well, I'm not going to touch that.
So I just wanted to thank you for letting us come tonight and introduce. We have 7 new call firefighters that we've added to our staff, and I think it's important for them to come in and have an opportunity to meet the board. They actually started the process back in August, only a couple days after I started, actually. They went through the testing period. They had to complete a physical agility, a background check, all the normal, all the normal things. And they attended the firefighter 1 and 2 program through the Plymouth County Fire Training Association. And they completed that back in February. And since that time, they've completed all their in-house training. And they're ready to go and start responding on calls. And they're a much needed asset to our department. So I think it was important for their families to be able to pin them with their badges and to meet the selectmen and have them sworn in here in public.
Well, pinning on the badges is more important.
That is probably the most important part. So I'll introduce them if that's okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate you guys coming up and sharing this with us, up with the board, really. It really means a lot to us for all yous to come up and we get to meet you and see you. And thank you for that.
So it's firefighter Michael McDonald, firefighter Derek Coveney, firefighter Richard Ferguson, firefighter Heather Littlefield, firefighter Adam Flaherty, and firefighter David Bradshaw. James. Oh! We got about firefighter Richard Elliott. James Ricciarelli. So, Ms. Gannick is gonna
Yep.
swear them in
Maybe you
as...
can, I don't know, however the camera can do
If
it
they,
best.
if you want to just stand right
Makes it
here,
official.
would that be?
Official. So we'll get you on camera, and watch yourselves over and over and over.
You suggest they come around here?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that way they can be seen.
Well, what, the chief's in charge right now, so you
Sure, so why don't we all
can
line
kick
up?
us out of here too if you want.
I have to get my camera ready.
We go in this closet.
Okay, you guys got the information ready? The room's here in front, you good? Raise your right hand, please. You're going to start by stating "I" and then your name. Again.
I,
Derek Bradshaw, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully and impartially perform all the duties incumbent upon me as a Halifax call firefighter to the best of my knowledge, my abilities, and the laws of the Commonwealth. So help me God. Congratulations, you're in.
Come in.
Congratulations. Thanks, especially you become my.
Look forward to hearing you on the radio, responding to most things you've been through. Congratulations. You too? Thank you.
Are you finished?
Nice to see you. That's good.
Please keep
Now, if that was a cat here, after you have a pin on it.
I don't hear him saying ouch yet.
About a cat.
It's tough material.
Every second's a year, so that must have took 50 years.
You can take a picture, or we can go outside and take pictures.
That'll teach you.
Yeah, exactly. These didn't know.
Let me take a picture. Yeah.
Almost like an initiation to staff. Borderline hazing. Yes.
Thanks, Mom. You want to take a picture? Oh, do you want to get in? Oh, sure.
That's why the chief gets the big box.
Well, I saw Dad taking pictures, he's probably gonna feel left out. Firefighter. things I forgot to mention was this was our first group that we actually sponsored. So they took upon their own initiative and put in a lot of their own time and hard work, and it's really, I personally really appreciated the effort they put in, and they've done a great job, and it shows right from the beginning how dedicated they were to this, and they all stuck through it, and I'm proud of you guys, so congratulations.
Young men are following and young ladies. Following a grand tradition for the fire department, we just laid rest one of our members at All My Go. So they laid down the groundwork for you. You just need to follow, and be careful of it.
Thank you. We can take, someone take a picture for us? I don't have to get my camera with me.
Really, you're welcome to come up and take pictures with them in front of the town seal if you'd like.
Those on the left, turn right. Those on the right, turn left.
I know, I'm trying to get out of this.
What do you want? Oh, you want me to get it? I'll do it over Patty wants. That's what I do. Yes, ma'am.
No, the shy one there.
Billy and Nate too, right? Deputy? Deputy? Come on, Deb. Captains? Out back?
We stand over there.
Why don't you guys move your front?
Captains? Come on, captains.
Now you guys can stand behind.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Come on, guys.
Put those rabbit ears back down.
The captains can go and fight inside.
I know, I always rearrange.
Put on fire, but we take pictures.
All right. I'm so sorry. All right, look at mommy. No. That's a good, that's a good picture. I know. Hopefully it will work. It's awesome. Awesome. I can always.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. You know where you should stand though, right here? You get everybody right here. So if you stand right here. Everyone does what Mark says. Everybody look over here.
Smile for the paper.
Take all the beer bottles off the table.
Great, thank you.
Nathan, great, that was great.
Yeah, good. So I'll come back.
Any more pictures? No? Done? Have enough?
We got a special picture with you? I'll go in the chair.
There you go. Hey, it's up for grabs.
You sat in a big comfy chair.
Missed this.
Everybody's going.
Was it something I said?
That's. Well, I'll be honest. I guess I'm looking at that. So you got the
Oh, yeah, she's socializing.
Yeah, she's more firefighters coming in.
Oh, I hope
I'm getting the neighbors.
There's a beauty contest going on tonight, y'all wanna take a look? Can I be a judge?
Okay, maybe need to go home.
What? I wasn't made aware that you guys were gonna be here tonight. I would've dressed up.
We did.
I know.
I like that you're afraid of this.
That was awesome. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I love this. Oh, you're back.
Just jumping
I
to
would-
like that he did, he just do all that they,
That's like the best.
I always love good news like that. That's I love it.
Yeah, well, that was great.
It's, with every passing, there's a new front. New front.
Okay, close enough. Do we have everybody from council on the evening?
Well, just about it.
You want us to hold out for a few more minutes for,
No, that's okay, we can get
no?
started.
You guys are all ready?
Yeah, we're,
You ladies are all ready to
we are,
dove right in?
we are, we're different.
Well, go ahead, you have the floor.
All right, I'm just gonna.
Here you are.
Okay.
Good. Come on in. We can walk you up here.
So we're going.
Everything's
highlighted in yellow, I forgot to do it.
That's
Who's the
okay.
chairman? I had too much company.
That's not a bad thing, right?
No, it's a good thing. So you can run off the mic.
I'm good.
Thank you.
And this is just a.
Can you make this print any smaller?
Sorry.
Thank you.
We added Halifax on the top. And Pam, you need it too, right?
Yeah.
If you have an extra copy,
I do, I made a copy for you. Here you go. We got one more. Moisture.
Nope,
We're all
I'm
family.
full of it.
Yeah,
I'm full of it.
there you go.
The gardens, the
And I think I already
drains.
gave you this sheet, yes, you want me to have.
No, I think we all have that from before.
Okay. So basically, Karen, the assessor, and myself have been going over the guidelines. We researched a lot of different towns, and so, and this is what we've come up with as far as the guidelines go. So the basics are, for the senior work-off program, you have to be 60 or older. You have to own your own home for at least 5 years or more. We did a potpourri, like I said, of many towns. Many towns, there's at least 100 in the Commonwealth that have had this program for 10, 15, 20 years or more. And
100 people, households.
100 towns in the union have had this program, the senior tax work-off program. And basically, it's volunteer community positions. And one of the sheets I gave you, it's the library, the COA, the recycling, and the assessor's office. So they come on board with job descriptions. So we're just asking for 2 available positions, you know, for this abatement, and it will be on a lottery basis. And there's a lot of requirements that they have to come up with, and it's underneath the eligibility criteria. You know, like I said, 60 years of old or older. They have to be the owner of record, et cetera, et cetera. And then the beauty of it, it's a win-win situation for, you know, the 60 and older, plus the town, because they give them back 83.3 hours. That's a total that we have chose, that will work, you know, in Halifax. So they're giving that back during the course of the year. And so we're really excited about it. We've tried before, I think in the past, from what they've told me. So we took 2 positions, you know. We're keeping everything simple and hoping that this will work. And we're only asking for $1,500. So it's $750 each per tax season that they'll be applying to their taxes. So, and we can't do anything for 3 years. If it gets voted in, you know, we have to wait 3 years before we can do changes. And that's probably a good thing too, so we can work out any, you know, kinks.
You know, why is that? Oh, you can't do
It's
anything.
a state mandate, yeah.
You voted in, and for 3 years you gotta wait before you can start doing it.
before you change anything.
Oh, before you change
Before
anything,
you
all right,
change.
oh, I get you. So
Add anybody or-
you can start it right away,
Mhm.
you just can't change it from anything you've presented.
You can't increase it by even more than 2 people for
No,
the first
can't-
3 years.
can't
So
make
this
any
is
changes.
truly a pilot program.
Yeah.
Do you need to go back to town meeting
Oh, yeah, it's
if
in
we
there.
increase the
It's,
numbers?
I think, it was 2 articles, but now it's just 1.
Correct,
Article
But I
53.
know the 1,500 isn't in that article,
correct,
so.
because it's coming out of the assessor's overlay for abatements and exemptions,
Okay.
Which they put aside every year
Right.
for just,
for any number of types of exemptions and abatements.
That would be
And
the
this-
appropriate.
And this would be including this.
Yeah.
so after 3 years, they can change it?
Well, this is where my understanding, and Barbara may know more than I do, all town meeting does is vote to accept or not accept. Obviously, I think most people at town meeting will want to hear from Barbara and from the 3 of you, and the selectmen make the decisions about the structure of the program. Obviously with the recommendations from the Council on Aging, but the town meeting does not vote on the structure. So the number of people participating, the size of the abatement, how people are chosen, income limitations, whatever, that's all within the jurisdiction of the board.
And that's all, before you get to, well,
Right, but when we talk about the 3-year pilot program, and we talk about it just being 2 at first, it would be the Board of Selectmen, not town meeting, that
Correct.
decides to expand that. But it's this town meeting vote that will keep it at the 2 until such time.
Well, again, I think I need to go back and I'll take another look. I did not see anything there. I think possibly there's a limitation that the program has to be running for 3 years, at which time if town meeting wanted to rescind it, it could do so. But because town meeting doesn't make the decisions on the size of the program, it isn't gonna be up to town meeting. It's an all or nothing for town meeting, either you accept the program or
Or
not.
you don't,
But
okay.
again, I think townspeople are going to want to hear what
Yes.
the selectmen's plan is as to how the program's going to be structured.
And this is how it's, right now, it's gonna be structured for 3 years.
If the board agrees.
Right. And after that, the program will still be in place, or the town has to vote on it?
No, the town does not have to do it. every
Reaffirm
3
it?
years.
No. So then, at that point, can it change to
You could change it.
50 people?
Sure. I think the
And
challenge,
that's, would that,
the
yeah.
challenge there is going to be working, for instance, with the board of assessors and such, in that the overlay would have to be increased to cover the expense of the program, which means we're taking stuff off, in essence, the tax rolls right at the beginning before we set budgets.
Well, I'm just saying that, being facetious, it's,
Well, I'm not being
It's-
facetious.
no, but it's something that somebody might say, well, this thing could
Mhm.
run amok.
Yeah.
So what parameters is Council on Aging looking for, once this thing gets okay, town meeting?
if you look at the
3
survey
years.
that I gave you from all the other towns, there's some towns in the union, some are our size, some of them are a little bit bigger. But this has been going on for years, this is not a new program. And a lot of towns in the union have been on board for, like I said, 10, 15, 20 years or more. And the number is in there, and I put Halifax is right on top. So we're starting with 2 people, and you can compare, it's a comparison chart, so you can see what the other towns have done through the years. So we're just starting small and simple.
No, I guess,
Yes, I had the opportunity to speak with Mary Collins, who's the director of the Hanson Council on Aging. And I asked her about their program there because I know they run a really good one.
Big one.
They've been there for years. At this point, they have 30 positions with 60 on the waiting list. And she said it actually has been a win-win because the departments are getting much needed help. They're all, the overburdened little projects that just keep coming up. And these volunteers are solving these, taking care of them, that type of thing. But the other thing she said, which I never thought of, is that the people in the past that have started volunteering, I guess they had like 6 or 7 positions just in their library alone. But she said these people end up wanting to do more in the town. So they're the ones that are coming forward and volunteering for boards and committees because they're not as intimidated as if they just came in for the first time. They're more familiar with the people in the town and just a lot of other things are growing from it. And she said the benefits have been incredible. She couldn't tell me exactly how many years they've been doing it, but I guess it's been quite a few, and they started, again, very, very small. But they're all over the town. I mean, they have people at their beaches that monitor.
Camp Quaney.
Yes, yeah, I mean, they're just everywhere. And been very successful. Each person serves for 1 year, and you have to wait another year before you can put your name in. In other words, you're not going to, if I were to volunteer, I could not volunteer there year after year after year.
No, okay.
I would volunteer for a year.
And resubmit.
Once my time is up, I can't for the following year.
Oh,
And then the year after that, I'm able to put my name in the lottery and go through the process again. And that just opens it up for not the same group continuously. You're able to allow more of the people to come in.
But can you volunteer and just don't get paid?
You do not get paid. You're getting an abatement on your
Right, I mean,
taxes
that's
per
what I mean.
hour. Right.
So I mean, can you
There's no
still
money.
volunteer and get no abatement while you're between, or even that year off?
No,
Like this other,
no.
I'll do it without an abatement.
You would go without the abatement.
No, I mean,
Unless you qualify in some other way.
Basically what he's saying that during that over period, 1 year waiting period, if you have to wait that long, would you be able to volunteer for another group?
and
Just
not,
to get the
And
mail?
receive an abatement?
No,
No,
not
no.
Or just- Yes,
Just to
oh, yeah.
volunteer.
Oh,
I mean, it
definitely.
wouldn't restrict you from not
Sure.
being able to,
Sure,
because a lot of the boards and committees, they are
right,
non-paying.
right.
Well, you guys get paid, right?
Huh?
Oh, we did, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Large amounts.
But I would think that that would initiate people to, once they're in that program, to, even if they didn't get that abatement, to go ahead and further themselves in another department because they are involved and they want to stay involved.
and they've been quarried and they've been vetted.
Absolutely,
It's-
Yeah.
I think that would be nice.
You've had a year to evaluate it.
We can write in the guidelines what we want, you know, every other year or what have you. So, as I said, we did a cross-section of many towns and learned from their mistakes, and so that's what we have come up with.
I see Hanover's got 240.
Yeah, they
Oh
have.
my gosh.
But it'll slowly, they built it up.
Middleborough, I believe.
I don't have the figures for Middleborough, but Middleborough's.
I know Middleborough's got a large.
They have a large group, yeah.
It's a huge town.
So I know we talk about limiting this program at first to Council on Aging, Recycling Center, and the library. Does Hanson having 30 volunteers, do they expand out to other departments?
My understanding.
I could get more, but this is,
Yeah, no, I'm just curious to see how, you know, you are starting very, very small at just 2, where you look at these other numbers where, you know, obviously there are towns that are much bigger than us. Well, Bridgewater isn't too much bigger, so there's 12 there, 30, 20.
and the other thing too is, you know, 99% of the work is gonna fall on the Council on Aging too. So we have to think about that. It's a lot of
Right.
meetings, it's a lot of paperwork, we gotta interview people. And if somebody gets through, then we have to have 2 alternates ready to go, you know, to fill in the rest of the hours, that sort of thing. So, and that's a piece of it too.
Right, and certainly you have the need to have as many volunteers as you can over there, so with an expansion, it only makes.
So, yeah, the library, recycling and assessors, and COA. I might have approached 2 or 3 other departments, but not all of them yet.
Yep.
So as it continues, I will, you know, as
Right.
it snowballs.
So as Charlie stated, you know, he believes that it would be up to the board to expand and that.
Well, it wouldn't be up to town meeting, really.
Right.
That I know.
Right, and so what is your vision? I know we're starting with 2, but what is your vision for the program?
Well, you know, probably after 3 years, you know, we'll see, you know, I think we'll just do an evaluation each year to see and meet with the department heads that have taken on some of these, you know, people and just evaluate every year. But I think just add slowly, you know, and see how it goes. And as you can see, all these other towns, you know, how the numbers, so I think we can anticipate that it's gonna be very successful.
Yeah,
This
I'd be remiss though if I didn't ask the question, because I'm sure it's gonna be asked. The more people we have allowed to work in this program, of course, the more that's gonna be pulled from the tax base.
Yes.
So I'm sure that people are gonna be asking that question as we approach it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of that myself, but, you know, how each year, you know, the town grows and departments grow and that sort of thing. And people are always trying to open up a new, you know, position. And that would save those positions from coming up, so, you know, it's kind of a win-win too, because it's good for the seniors, because it gives them, you know, they're on a fixed income, they're all, you know, a lot of them can't afford their taxes. And then also it's good for the town because the salaries and wages don't go up, you know.
I agree with that.
Yeah, well, that's all, I thought it,
No,
but I want to hear it,
Yes.
because that will come up, I'm sure.
It'll certainly come up at town meeting, and
Mhm.
so another question would be, I know it's $750 and it appears to be on your chart to be about $750 on average. I know that only one community, Newbury Port, a very affluent community, has $1,000,
That's the maximum, and
Right.
they just,
and so that doesn't vary, so it doesn't depend on, you know, cost of living or, you know, whether the taxes go up, but it seems to be standard that people maintain that same rate.
yeah, I picked the middle of the road because it's either 500, 750,
yeah,
or
or-
1,000.
Mary said to me, I asked her if it was the same amount, you know, I said, how many hours does a volunteer have to work to meet that level? And she said in Hanson, it was 103 hours in the course of a year. And she said it was done by federal guidelines, federal income guidelines. And how that's determined, I don't know if it's determined by population, I don't know. I did some research, and Carver started out at 650 with their program.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the difference, why that is, you know, and
According to this, you've got, at least on your notes here, it says income-based requirements, wages, social security, pension, and common divisions. For Bedford, it's, the person has to have an income between 46,000 and 52,000 in order to qualify for it, so I'm sure that they.
Those are guidelines that we
Guidelines
set,
put 'em
by
out
looking at all the other towns.
Right, and you have to keep, you know, obviously how, you have to look at the per capita income because Bedford is an affluent community and we may not certainly have that same per capita income. But what strikes out, what I'm looking at is, for that $750, a lot of the communities do have 94 hours, 91 hours, 103 hours, 125. We're sort of at 83. Why did you choose it to be?
Well, that's what Karen and I had come up with, you know, she did the division.
So it's the minimum wage.
The minimum wage,
it's
yeah,
minimum wage
$90.
then.
We
Yes.
gotta base it on that,
That's
but
what she said then.
we're gonna start,
Then the other towns mustn't worry about that then. I'm just curious.
but we're gonna also start August 1st and end it February 1st.
Okay,
So
you'll have a small.
3.3, yes, on the
Okay.
smaller margins, we have more time in between
Yeah.
to get those needs
Oh,
met
okay.
that we need to do.
That's understandable then.
Yeah, so.
Okay, if, well, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm pretty sure we go forward. If you see a little pushback on it, it's not so much, I think, the program, do they trust us up here, you know, with their money, and sometimes you get that, well, those selectmen up there, you know, they're gonna, you know, so.
They don't pay taxes, they just want to spend money.
Because it's like, even when we want to appoint, instead of elect, like a treasurer or collector, no, we want to keep that on the voters' hand, we don't trust those selectmen sometime. Maybe they're talking about me, I don't know. So, if there's pushback, you know, it's partially because of that too, because I gotta trust that this board, the ones they vote in here, are gonna do the right thing and make sure this doesn't go out of control, so. And the board changes, so don't take offense if you get a little feedback on that.
Okay.
And we'll try to look as honest as we can, right?
I'm sorry, this is the only face I get.
Oh, we're in trouble.
I mean, it's a pretty conservative town that.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do,
Yeah, I
start
mean,
small
yeah.
and build small, and we have 3 years and nothing will happen, everything will stay the same, so I think that kind of stands alone for itself.
I think it's one more thing that we're trying to present to the town that will help the citizens of the town. It's not something that's going out. And it's really, 1,500 is a small amount per year And we spend that much on paper and stamps and whatever else going on. So it's not, it's not as if we're talking $15,000 or $30,000 a year or something that, hey, and I'm sure with the proper supervision, quality things will be done. I'm dependent on you.
It's a win-win. The town benefits.
So do we have your vote?
I'm ready to go at this
As long
point
as
in
just
time.
confirm two things.
What do you, Charlie? Charlie wants to.
Just one, the selection's gonna be done by lottery,
Yes, that's
Okay.
right.
Yes.
and then is there an income limitation?
Yes, it's right.
35,000.
So no more than 35,000?
For a
Both
single
sources.
person, and the
Right.
married is, I think, what is it, 60, 55?
Okay,
And we have an asset limit too,
Okay.
that we took from the 41C club.
that's fine, I just wanted to be sure.
There's no age limit.
You guys-
60,
you guys-
60-year-old.
No, I said it's
Oh, not
60
the
or
other
older, there's no age limit,
No,
that's
no,
minimum.
Are you looking for a job?
Yeah, I am.
Charlie, you have.
I don't know if I meet the requirements.
Criteria, no.
So what you presented tonight is what you're requesting,
Mhm.
and does the board have any more questions, or?
I'd like to move that we accept the program as presented by Council Williams tonight.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Good job.
I want to thank you for,
I can
For
talk to you
doing
about
this.
the trip.
Yes, I'll be in. I've just been super
She's
busy.
still tripping.
The letter that I
She's
sent,
all
I don't
ready.
know if you guys.
The board discussed the walk several
1
weeks
mile.
ago.
Oh, yes, we
Here,
talked about
We'd
it.
like a formal okay from the board.
Yes.
okay, well, you go ahead and present what you were asking the board.
We talked, yeah, we
Yeah.
talked about.
This is the mile
Yeah.
walk up and down the
June
sidewalk.
3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this?
No,
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 right, we
this is
talked
before.
about it on the meeting that Charlie wasn't here.
This is for
Do you wanna
healthy
let it-
reasons.
You want to let our camera know what you guys are doing with this walk and when? And
Well, it's a state-sponsored walk, and 22 towns in the union are doing it. And we received a grant a month ago, which is a part of it. So we have pedometers for 27, which have already taken. So this day is going to be a kickoff at 3:30, but we're trying to engage the whole community. You know, to get out and move and
Walk
walk.
for health.
Yeah, walk for health.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do a half a mile down past the car wash, half a mile back, and have some turkey burgers when we come back. And
That might kill the program.
this isn't the same day as the cookout, right?
it's the same, yeah, it will be a cookout,
And it's
yeah.
gonna be the warm.
Makes you want to walk knowing there's a turkey burger.
There you go.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Yeah,
gravy
and
for the
fixings.
turkey.
Because the
We'll
husband
have
in the
other
middle
things,
passed
too.
out sleeping
Yeah,
somewhere,
We're
right?
doing it at 3.
We're having like that.
Is it 3 o'clock?
Yes.
We're doing
3:30.
3:30, so
Turkey.
that.
But it probably won't get kicked off till closer to 4, because we have them measuring their stride, and we actually had a call from Silver Lake today, because we're getting the culinary arts program, so I'm hoping a couple of kids are gonna come to make the turkey burgers, and we have 2 cooks, and we have a lot of people involved. Somebody in an antique car that will be running back and forth in case we have any injuries or dehydration, you know, we do
Generation, just go with
It's
generation.
sad, though, the poor turkey just can't get a day off. I mean,
That's right.
Thanksgiving,
Well, you just feel like thumbing and getting picked up there,
Yeah.
like, what's your name in that
That's
show
right,
there?
and pick you up.
We could.
I have a smart car, I can pick you up
I
if
know,
you
you have
need
that.
it.
Yeah, we got it second-
I could ride on the roof.
I thought you were talking about the driver.
No,
We could get some pacers. I know that we're gonna talk to some of the hops people about
Yeah.
having maybe their kids come and participate, but.
Yeah, I
I think-
remember you mentioned this last meeting too, didn't
Yeah.
you mention this?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah,
It was nice of you to come in and remind us about it.
okay, you're welcome, so.
So I'll make a motion. I thought we had already approved it, but just in case, I'll make a motion that we approve.
Well, usually comes back stamped, and
Yeah,
I just want to make sure, that's all.
that we approve the walk on June 3rd at
3:30.
3:30 to 4 for the half mile on 106.
Rain or
And
shine.
we don't,
Rain or shine.
we don't need any security of any type, police,
Okay,
fire.
that's right. John.
Depends on how big it grows.
I think that.
Yeah, that's the only thing that I would be concerned about is that we
But
have,
the police chief knows and fire chief
well,
knows.
he's in the back of
He's
the world.
participating, right, Chief?
Sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna walk from his office to
No,
council
but
meeting, that's a
it's
half
3 days
mile.
before the hop
Rain
and hop,
or
so it's
shine.
kind of a warm-up for the 5K, right?
If it's raining, we still have to walk. We don't drive it. We walk.
The
Bring
department
your
heads
umbrella,
and
right?
Bring your umbrella.
Yeah.
school.
It's gonna be great.
I'll try to be there.
It would,
Okay.
oh, try?
Troy, you'll be there. It'll be great.
I'll carry you on my back.
Piggyback.
My legs will still be dragging the girl.
Oh, I have a new wheelbarrow. Oh, we can use
Who's gonna
that.
push that?
Did you second that motion?
I did.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
It'd be nice to have a nice community outing like that.
That'd be great.
It is like, pray to God that the weather holds out for you too.
Look forward.
It'll be beautiful.
Doesn't matter,
It'll be beautiful.
You're gonna be out there, rain or shine,
Go inside,
hurricane,
so.
whatever.
wind driven, it'll okay if it blows you one way, but not the other way.
Oh, come on.
No, see, that's a bad thing.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Have a good night. And thank you for making my night lively.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Drive safe.
We've got about, 7 or 8 weeks to get to the shoot.
Yeah, move right along, chief. Come on up, chief.
Come on up.
That was so great, that swearing in.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Thank you for starting the night off on a good note.
Thank you for having us.
You're gonna continue the trend,
I
right?
hope so.
All right, chief, fire department signed, I guess, the board upstairs okayed it.
So we brought the sign on the station is beyond faded, it's starting to rot in a couple places, and it doesn't really project the image of the professional department that we have, and for those reasons, we'd like to replace the sign. We did submit a couple of ideas to the historic committee. I met with them, and they approved both signs. And
They're recommending the one without the extra
Swirl line.
ribbons on either end.
is that what they wrote?
Yes.
Okay, then that's fine.
The more understated.
I like the ribbons.
They were split at the meeting, but I was comfortable with either sign, and we thought it would be good to bring it back to the board so that, everyone had input into it, and that's pretty much it.
I like the more understated version.
Yeah, same there. I sort of like it. I like the one that's,
Without the ribbons. That's perfect, I mean, we like them both.
Because they said the ribbon, they're gonna say.
No, I like the understated one anyway. I mean, I really did.
As far as the color, you saw I didn't print that out.
Yeah, I got the black and white. I'm sure there's some maroon or red in it, right?
Yeah, this is the.
There's no blue in it, right?
That's the color.
Yeah.
So it's actually the same colors pretty much that we have in the existing.
just newer and brighter sign.
Newer and brighter, yeah, that sign is actually just 2 pieces of plywood screwed
No,
together. So this is gonna be it's an aluminum sign that they,
So you're not gonna put your picture on it?
not yet.
It just kind of looks like the space up here for maybe the town, a seal or,
Oh,
looks empty. Well, listen,
I believe that's why he gave it a little bit of a flare to kind of like take up a little bit of that space,
Yeah.
but, because there is when you look at the station, there's a big empty, yeah, really.
That's because what's special is inside.
can you crown the woodwork?
I guess anything's possible. I think it's a metal, the sign is actually aluminum. It's 2 sheets of aluminum that's pressed and then, some kind of material they put in the middle.
Yeah,
So it's like a
laminated-
quarter, yeah, it's a
laminated,
quarter-inch thick.
The more material you put on something, the more you have to take care of.
True, yeah, we're looking for low maintenance.
Yeah, keep it simple and low maintenance.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you're happy with it. We're happy with it. I mean, it looks fine on, we don't look at it, we don't clean it and.
What's the time that you're gonna have it put up?
Probably by the beginning of the summer and towards the end of June, I would imagine. As long as it fits, yeah, I'm assuming they'll have it done in a couple
Now, where's the
months or
LED
so.
sign? The sign with the LED sign?
Yeah, it's supposed, when it's put in, it should be near where those bushes are near the street. Bushes that are,
On the left-hand side,
yes.
facing the station on the left.
Right.
Maybe the bushes will probably have to be black and white. That's fine with me, chief.
Okay.
Help yourself. I don't think we need to
Good
vote
luck.
from the board for
Well, I
that.
think the chief would appreciate a vote.
Was it just in case?
Sure.
I'll make a motion that we approve the understated version of the sign.
Okay.
I don't want to say understated, but
Without
The
ribbon.
non-ribbon.
Non-ribbon.
A non-ribbon sign, yeah.
I'll second the understated.
I'd like to rename it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Streamlined.
Streamline, yeah,
Streamline.
The new
There you
sign,
go.
the new sign.
Streamline.
or whatever John
cut to the
DeMarco
quick.
wants.
Pretty much.
And, yeah, be careful putting it out. Fire department grant.
Yes.
You keep pulling money out of a hat.
That was exciting. We put in for an assistance to firefighter grant, and we were actually notified this week by Congressman Keating's office first that we received the grant. So it's a highly competitive grant. I believe we were one of 4 other communities in Massachusetts to receive a first round grant. So they gave out about 50 grants nationwide, first round, and we were chosen as one of them. So it was really exciting. And what the grant is it's roughly $24,000 to purchase chest compression devices. So that as I believe we had looked into a different grant at one point, but these are assist in doing CPR. They actually mount over the patient and provide real quality chest compressions that have been proven to make a difference. And there's some other departments that have had them. Hearing the increased rate of success is exciting. So where we go out, most of the time we have 2 personnel. It really frees up that extra provider to do the IVs and the meds. And I've been doing this a long time, and one of the things, actually as a police officer, you've probably seen there's a lot of time that goes without chest compressions, and it's not intentional, it's just because we're doing 20 other things. So with this device, the one thing we know is that those compressions will be done, and it frees up the extra provider, and couldn't be happier to get the grants.
Is it called a Lucas because that's the name of the company?
Lucas is the one that we put in for was called Lucas. That seems to be, we talked to a lot of different departments, and that seems to be the one that people like the
That's the one
best.
I've ever.
Is that out of the Midwest?
They're actually made by Medtronic. It's the same company that makes our cardiac monitor. So I'm not really sure where they're based out of though. Our rep is out of Rhode Island, but it seems to be from what we've spoken with, the more popular model.
Yeah, when I was home, there was a company called Lucas that did a lot of the
Oh, is that medical
stuff,
devices?
Medical devices. I'm just wondering if it's the same one or if it's
Yeah, I don't know.
And this is something that was on the capital plan a few years ago. We kept putting it off, and so
Right.
now this is something that will.
So it was a priority. We knew we had a couple of grants. There was a regional grant request, and we had hoped to get that. It didn't come through. And I wrote this grant hoping, so we held off and put it on this year's request, and it was definitely on for next year because it was only going to be a matter of time before OEMS mandated that we carry it on the ambulance anyway. So we thought we had a little bit of time to play with, and we were lucky enough to get the grant to pay for it.
So you plan on passing it over?
No, this is, the money,
I've already accepted.
the money was, you were
No, I
talking
think
about.
it's
Okay.
Well, I thought he said he had something on the warrant that he would put in for this year.
No,
For
it'll,
fiscal 17.
yeah,
That was what
it'll
it was.
free up money for other things.
With the
My
next,
mistake, sorry.
Oh, no.
Apologize.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely free up money for other things that are needed, and I suspect that our free cash for next year will be a lot lower than what we're used to, so this is certainly gonna help out with our plan for next year.
Continue the good work.
Thank you.
There'll be a little bit of training with this.
Yeah, there'll be some training. They actually demoed it.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so a lot of the staff is pretty familiar with it, and we do see other departments around the area have them. Not everyone has them, but there's a few other departments in the area that have them. So it's not an incredible amount of training. We would just fit it into our normal drill. We do a monthly EMS drill, monthly fire drill. So our EMS drill, as soon as they come in, would be on. We'd spend the night with those, and that would be enough time to, at least familiarize people with it. They'd have to, come in and play with it a little bit, but it's not a tremendous amount of training.
There's a lot of adjustment between a child to
I believe the
an
piston
adult
just,
to a senior
the
citizen.
piston just comes down. So once you mount it behind them, and then this device mounts on top of that, and then you lower the piston down against the chest, and then once you hit the button, it knows where the chest is, so it knows to press down the 2 inches. So
I know the elderly, the little crunchy.
yeah, it's still
Yeah, it will
it's
still
not
crunch.
the prettiest thing, but
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
pretty wild to see
personal.
it. I mean, I remember
No,
when
I
they
mean,
first
it's-
demoed it, I was.
Yeah, it's actually, when you look at, when you watch it being done to a mannequin, it's,
Yeah, it's a little scary.
pretty intense.
Yeah.
But that's the way CPR is supposed to be done, it just doesn't always get done like that, so.
Yeah, when I volunteered at the emergency room at Social Hospital, there was an ambulance.
They brought one in.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's, you certified for any of that? You sign off? that
It's all-
You've had training on this?
Yeah, we would just document it, there's no,
Right.
the state as part of their paramedic or EMT license is covered to use that device.
Okay.
So there's no additional
Oh, yeah.
licenses or anything.
Very exciting. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
your work.
What level of, your calls that were just sworn in?
Heather Littlefield's a paramedic and the rest are EMTs, but Derek Coveney, oh, I'm sorry, Adam Flaherty and Heather Littlefield are both paramedics. And then Derek Coveney and David Bradshaw are in paramedic school now.
Oh, wow.
So it's exciting.
Yeah.
We need the ALS help, so.
Well, you know,
You didn't
these
answer the
these guys
phone.
didn't want to bring you on board.
Exactly.
These two guys didn't want to bring you on board, but I did.
But you've come around. I mean, we've come around.
What are you guys talking about?
All right.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I hope the good work continues and the other departments following your footsteps and more grants in. We can use many of them again.
Did we want to talk about that?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I wanted you guys to catch up on. No, I asked if you could come by and tell us a little bit about your fleet. You're looking to get a purchase.
Right.
And, you know, my belief is when we tend to get these bigger purchases, it's nice to come before us and let us know, and let the town get some taste of it. They can see it on camera and that gets the word out, so when they come in, they're a little more abreast to what's going on with the equipment.
Right.
We did that, we just bought that ambulance for $500,000 2 years ago, I think it was. And, you know, it's a good chunk of change, so I just thought it would help everybody. So that we get to town meeting, everybody's aware of it and knows what it is and entails, and it makes it, the night go a lot smoother.
Exactly.
So,
I actually welcome the opportunity to present it tonight and answer any questions that you might have. I put together a little packet. Basically, the front page is what it's going to look like, and in the packet we have my notes on it, and we have the brochure on that particular truck. There's some newspaper articles and some other things that I'll refer to, but the fire department has 3 frontline piece of fire apparatus, and when I say that, I'm talking about for structural firefighting. We have a 1989 E1 ladder, a 1996 KME pumper, and a 2007 E1 pumper. It's been close to 20 years since the town has actually had to purchase a fire truck, a structural fire truck. Our 2007 pumper was actually purchased through an Assistance to Firefighters grant. Now, we've tried, a couple of years ago, I believe Chief Carrico put in to get a purchase of a vehicle. I actually wrote a grant for a purchase of the vehicle, and what's changed in the Assistance to Firefighter program and the grants in general is that they changed their priorities. When we got the 2007, we had an open cab truck, and their priorities are the safety of firefighters. So they still continue to replace open cab vehicles, so if there was a rollover, no one falls out, and that's their highest priority. And then they work down from there. The grant money has really dried up a little bit. It's been level funded for a number of years, and they've expanded on what exactly you can get from the grant. So they do community paramedicine vehicles now and that type of thing. So it's, Onset is a great example. They have an open cab ladder truck. They've tried 3 years unsuccessfully to get a grant to get that, and that's with an open cab. So we have tried all the other avenues to try to fund it. Unfortunately, there's just not many that exist. Our current ladder truck, 1989 E1, it's 26 years old. And a little bit I'll talk about why I feel that there was 2 schools of thought. One was replacing our backup engine, which was the 1996 KME, or the 89 ladder truck. And I'll explain to you one of the reasons when I spoke to Chief Carrico, Chief Benjamino, why they hadn't pursued this was they were the fitting in the station. We have really low doors. Most ladder trucks stand about 14 feet. Our door is only 10 feet. So they didn't think there was a ladder truck that fit. And fortunately, just out of coincidence, Sandwich has a 10-foot door. And I came from Sandwich and we have a ladder truck that fit in that 10-foot door. So I knew it could happen, but there's not very many vehicles that do that. So our current ladder truck's a 1989 E1, 26 years old. We follow the NFPA standards on motorized fire apparatus. At 15 years old, a truck is supposed to be refurbished. That was never done. Honestly, it's in fairly good shape for its age because it sees limited use, but by their recommendation, it's supposed to be refurbished at 15 years. And then 20 years, it's supposed to be placed into a reserve status, and then at 25 years, it's supposed to be replaced. Now, they use the 25 number, that's considering that it had been refurbished. We've never been refurbished, so that's the first point. The other point is this truck has no pump, and this is important to stress to people when they look at it, they see a fire truck. But really, it's a ladder on a truck. It has no pump, it has no water on it, it doesn't have any hose on it. And when we operate this vehicle, we have to have an additional pump on the scene just to feed that truck. It can't operate on its own. We can't hook up a fire hydrant to our current ladder truck and flow water out. It's impossible. There's a couple things. One, it doesn't have what they call a pre-piped waterway, so that when you see water coming out the top of the ladder, we manually have to take a roll of hose, tie it to the top, raise the ladder, and basically lay the hose down the front of the ladder, then connect it. And to adjust the nozzle stream, we have 2 ropes that we tie to it, and it's just such an antiquated. You probably don't even see it much on television anymore because not many apartments have it.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, definitely not the ideal. And someone stands on the ground and they try to adjust the stream from the ground. I watched it a few times where we've set it up in drills, and it's not impressive to watch. But most importantly is it does require an additional pumper, so it doesn't have its own water supply. So the way we run now, we have the first engine goes out, and then we call back our call department. And our call department has to take the other engine because if they took the ladder and it got to the scene, it can't pump. So it makes more sense to take the backup. And you always want to have a backup engine anyway in case something goes wrong with your frontline piece. But at the same time, if we took our ladder truck, we couldn't flow water with it anyway. So they take the engine too, and then if we have someone that comes back, they'll bring the ladder truck to the scene. The problem with that is by then, we've already laid 4-inch hose all over the street, and it's very difficult to place that ladder truck where you want. Once you lay that hose down, it's like laying a water main in the street. You can't park it where you need to park it. So there's a few operational, operationally it's not the greatest vehicle. As far as it requires a lot of manpower to operate, and then the cost of it. This year alone, we spent, we have to have it certified every year because it's a ladder truck. We're required to have that certified. We knew it had cracked springs. We found out that it had leaking pistons. We spent over $10,000 into this truck that only went on probably 10 calls. And as the years go by, that number keeps going up and up and up. And we have to do these repairs because we do need to keep a ladder truck in service. So the cost of keeping this one up and running is getting higher every year. Its use is very limited, but like I said, we need to do that. I looked into a couple of companies, and there'll be an attached letter in there in the back from a company called Brindle Mountain, and they sell fire apparatus. So I asked them to give me a quote on it, and they quoted me around $20,000. But I found it interesting in what he wrote in his first full paragraph. The market for ladders with no pump and no tank is very tough. And it's just because operationally they don't make sense. Unless you're a city like Florida or New Bedford or Boston, where they have a lot of engine companies, they can supply that truck. We can't do that. Most towns couldn't. What we're proposing to purchase is a 75-foot aerial platform truck. And the picture's right on, we have a picture of it right on the front. I also included the documentation from the company. in it. And what this is called is a quint. So in the fire service, we refer to these vehicles as a quint. They're dual purpose and they serve the purpose of an engine and a ladder truck. So the name quint, it's a Latin name meaning five, and in this vehicle it has the five things it has is it has a pump, it has a water tank, it has fire hose, it has an aerial device, and it has ground ladders. So when we first thought about, one of the things that I've been trying to tell people is when they said, why aren't you replacing the engine first? That seems more, we are replacing the engine first. At the same, we're getting a fully equipped fire engine. This fire engine just happens to have a ladder on the top of it, so it's going to serve dual purpose. One of the specific nice things about this truck is that it's an aerial platform truck, so it has the bucket built in the back. It holds over 1,000 pounds. We could put 2 or 3 firefighters in it, and once they're up, if we're doing a defensive operation, they can stay up there for hours. On the side of the vehicle, you'll notice it has a big yellow tank mounted on the side, and that's breathing air. So even though they have air packs on, they can get up in that bucket, get up over the fire, and stay there literally for hours just by plugging into that breathing air tank. They could stay there for 3-4 hours if need be. Doesn't require someone to be coming up and down, and has that second source, which is important. As far as rescues, most of the documentation shows that rescues are much more effective using a platform truck. Even though in this truck we would probably go up to a window, go back down, go back up, put a few people in it. It shows that you can rescue the first 5 people can be rescued much quicker using an aerial platform truck versus a traditional ladder. You can anticipate how nervous people get climbing out a window into a, trying to help an elderly person climb down a ladder truck is, very, very difficult. Handicapped people, if wheelchair, that type of thing, we can actually put it right into the bucket and then lower them to the ground safely, and it's much quicker. This is a very easy truck to set up. We set it up in less than it can be set up in roughly 30 seconds. It has 2 sets of jacks. The driver pulls up, has 2 sets of jacks that come down, and it's ready to go in operation. Once we connect, it has its own water supply, so we can stop fighting a fire right away, even if we haven't connected to a hydrant. It has attack lines, hand attack lines on it, so even if we didn't use the aerial part, we would still be able to make an interior structural attack, just as we would with any other engine. As far as the waterway is pre-piped, so it has a collapsible pipe so we don't have to drape any hose down the ladder or anything like that. It's already set up, and it has 2 what we call monitors, 2 big nozzles up in that bucket that we can direct onto the fire. Manpower-wise, we'll be making much better use of our manpower. An engine crew basically will be able to do both functions. This will supply us with a 3rd pumper, may potentially help our ISO rating, the insurance costs, having a 3rd pumper. Right now, if we have engine 1, last week that was out of service, engine 1 was out of service, it had a pump problem. We had to bring it up to Greenwood, it was out of service for 4 days. The only truck we had left was engine 2, it was the 96 KME, which is still a truck, workable vehicle, but if you think about that scenario, we wouldn't even be able to use our ladder truck, because then we don't have even if we did have the manpower in a perfect world, we wouldn't have the manpower to supply that ladder truck. So this will give us it will truly give us a third pump. This particular vehicle, one of the things that's most attractive to me was we tried to find something that was what's the most cost-effective option. This is a single rear axle ladder truck. It's considered a medium-duty ladder truck. If you look at that, most of the bigger ladder trucks, you'll see they have dual rear axles, and that increases the cost by roughly $250,000 to $300,000. So by staying with the medium-duty single rear axle, we're saving on that. I included a letter from a newspaper article in the packet that was just on March 8th It's about a ladder truck that's being built in the town of Abington. And I don't know if you can see it, but right at the top of it, 3.8, Farrow Fire Apparatus Incorporated is custom building a $1.2 million ladder truck. And that's the going rate for the average ladder truck. Like I said, however, that is a heavy-duty ladder versus our medium-duty ladder, but it's an aerial platform, same as we have. It has pre-piped waterway, has water. We actually have a little more water on our truck, and the same amount of hose. So this truck comes in somewhere around 780, 765, depending on how we end up doing the final spec. But comparatively, the average department is paying over $1 million for a ladder truck.
In the dual versus the single?
For our perspective, I think
we'll
we'll be fine with it. For some extent, it's easier to maneuver around small streets, so when you get in the Avs, that type of thing, you can make those corners much easier. When you have you're adding 20 feet to the truck, 10 to 20 feet to the truck. Our ladder, now the one we're gonna purchase is only 75 feet. What we have now is 100, and a lot of these bigger ones are 100. So I wanted to make sure that 75 feet was gonna be enough. So we actually took it out here one day, we played with town hall, we played with the church. Twin Lakes was a big issue, so we took it up to Twin Lakes, and what they had them do was park cars in all the parking spaces so that we know, what we're gonna be up against. And we took our ladder up there and we only extended it to 70 to 75 feet. And we know that we can make the roofs of all those condos with the 75-foot ladder. So
3 stories?
yeah, so there's gonna be, I when I was in Sandwich, I had a 100-foot ladder, and there was times when I said, boy, I wish I had a 120-foot ladder. There are times when you're always gonna wish you had a little bit more, but I think that this will be functional for us in 90% of the applications. Not to say there's never gonna be time we didn't wish it was a little longer, but I think that it's more, like I said, the most cost-effective option.
Well, the same question would be raised for the dual axle, there's no real, it's not.
It's a little more heavy.
Yeah, but is it not more for this town than it would be maybe for
I think.
What's the application more for a dual axle rather than a?
It's a heavy duty ladder. I mean, it's just considered a heavy duty ladder truck. When I look at this, so it's supporting a 100-foot aerial versus a 75-foot aerial is one. That's the biggest
The difference between
change,
heavy duty and the medium.
Yeah, it's support. I went up to the town of Orleans. They have the identical truck that we have. Similar build up. Heights of buildings and that type of thing. They're very, very, very happy with it. And I spoke with the chief in Wenham, Mass, and they have the same vehicle too, and they're very, very happy with it. And a lot of the departments, it's the price and it's the fact that they can fit it in the building. Because when you start talking about building a custom truck to fit in the building, first, it's not anything that'll do it for a 10-foot door, but I mean the cost just goes through the roof. So, that is the first thing that we would do. I mean, they've already brought it. I had their representative come down to the station. He took all the measurements. He looked at the pitch of the parking lot. He submitted it back to his engineers, and they said, yes, we can make that. That'll fit in the building. So when we do the spec, when we do the bid for it, that would be the first thing: is must fit in the building at 438 Plymouth Street upon delivery.
Does the blower system work for that too?
Yeah, the exhaust.
Yes, the plumb event would just hook right on that. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the plumb event would hook right on that. As far as how to pay for it, so we,
Yeah.
so financing option, I know the town hasn't done this before. I have some experience in doing financing where we finance vehicles before, been very successful with it. Plimpton actually financed all of their fire apparatus, and it seems like they're very happy with that process. It doesn't throw a gigantic bill at the taxpayer in 1 year. It kind of spreads it out and helps to fit into the overall capital plan.
And if I could just interrupt you, just because that was a discussion that we had at the capital planning committee meeting, is that, as both of you are aware, this has been a piece of equipment that's been on the capital plan, and we've been looking to fund that for a couple of years. We just haven't had the money to be able to come up with $750,000 in 1 year with the free cash numbers that we've been having and the other things. So we had a lot of discussions about how we can achieve this and when we can achieve it. And we had some discussions with Charlie. We even talked about maybe doing a 1-year debt exclusion of, you know, how can we do this? And so we use the term lease, but it really isn't a lease. It's financing. So we looked at the different terms of the financing, whether we can do a 3-year one, what would be more affordable, what could be more achievable. We also looked at our capital plan to see what was coming up in those 5 years. So we really did do a lot of due diligence in looking at the different options. And so I just wanted them to understand that this was not just a decision that you have made, but it's been a decision that we on capital planning have really talked, you know.
Right.
Well, you mentioned the capital planning, and that was one of my questions too, was one of our ambulances is starting to get old. The second ambulance, how long do you see that?
I think that was 2 years.
Yeah, that's,
2 years out.
yeah.
And is that going to be the same caliber?
No,
I think it's like $250.
I would say no.
I don't have my capital planning sheet.
For the most part, they're not overly thrilled, you know, from the guys that use it, they're not overly thrilled with that ambulance. I personally don't think we need to go with a commercial fleet like that. The newest ambulance, you know, one of the problems that happened was they stopped making the van front E450s in a diesel. And then they stopped making that altogether. So, most departments that were buying ambulance at the time, their hands were a little bit tied. They're making the Ford F550 four-wheel drive ambulance now that's on a regular Ford F550 chassis, and most departments are very, very happy with them. I spoke with the chief in East Bridgewater recently. He's thrilled to death with the ones that he's purchased, and I went up to Greenwood, and I know some people up there, and they said that's been the biggest seller. Prices reduced from the international.
You had one of those in Sandwich that
We had the big ones, and
wasn't performing as well as you.
we had problems with the big ones too. Yeah.
And we've had some problems with this ambulance, certainly from the beginning.
Are we discussing the ladder truck or the ambulance tonight?
No, I know, but we have to take that into account of when we're gonna be replacing that ambulance, just because when we're financing this truck, that's our commitment. So that's the first thing that we fund on our capital plan for the next 5 years. That's it. We are committed to that payment. And so we do have to think about what's part of the capital plan within those 5 years. And so I think the question is, the type of ambulance that we purchased the last time was the larger chassis.
Right.
We thought it was going to be something that would work for us. It hasn't particularly been.
It works.
It works. It's just
we've
had some issues with that particular truck, and we will look at something that
a little more
will be
affordable.
a little bit more affordable.
So that's more like the heavy duty. Do we really need the heavy duty after driving this for a few years? So we can get the lighter duty.
Well, we got the F550 four-wheel drive, which is better,
And we'll be looking second or third year into paying for this. We're gonna be looking to pick up another ambulance.
Right.
So when this 5 years is over, you'll have other equipment?
Yes.
Eventually, yes.
But nothing else beyond what we're talking between this and maybe an ambulance in 2 years?
Well, we don't know what's gonna break down between.
Well,
But I believe, and I just looked to see if I had my capital planning folder, I don't, but I believe we have the chief's car is due next year, I think. And then we didn't just look at the fire department's big ticket items, we also looked at the highway department, what different trucks will be purchased or stated to be purchased in 3 years.
My concern with highways, the roads are terrible, and
And
I
obviously,
don't see that coming out of it, but.
I think as I stated earlier, we're concerned about free cash, and, we are definitely cutting the budgets pretty tight this year, and, the effect of that is less free cash the following year, and overlay is used, certainly, we're gonna use some of it, it's very minor, but overlay is important for capital items as well, so, we can't predict 100%, but the issue that we've had is that we've needed this vehicle for all the right reasons that you've explained, and yes, financing something is completely new for the town of Halifax, and it may be a little difficult for a lot of people to buy into the concept, but there is no other way for us to have an engine purchased.
Well, in essence,
not completely true. We finance things, we just call it a different term.
Yeah, we've done debt
You pay them over the years and
exclusions, but yeah.
stretched out, anytime you get some stretched over a period of time, you finance it.
But I mean, even looking at it now, it's probably a good thing we didn't refurbish this and save that money.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
there
think
We
was
we're-
still got, you guys took such good care of the
Yeah, they
took
really
good care of it.
do a good job taking care of the truck.
Well, my only point is, and I'm not trying to
Uh,
have this conversation on this, that I thought we were gonna focus on the ladder truck, because that's gonna be the main issue coming up this year at
Right.
town meeting. You know, and then the ambulance and the other things could be discussed.
Well, I'm-
Yeah, I understand.
I'm sitting in,
No, I understand.
I'm sitting in the audience and going, all right, we're gonna be paying this for 5 years. What else would come up? That would be the only issue that you see coming up.
The big purchase would
Yeah,
be, within that
so-
5-year span will be another right.
Yeah, so, and you wanna be,
Major.
reassure them that, yeah, we can swing this.
Well, and the other question that will come up certainly, Chief, is, you know,
Yeah.
why are you gonna keep the ladder, why not trade it in?
Well, we're gonna sell
It
it.
is.
Right, that's what I mean.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
gonna be a
so we're gonna
question.
sell the ladder.
Right,
I mean, we're thinking the minimum amount is 20,000, as much as 35,000.
So this price, it doesn't include the trade-in.
No,
No.
because that wouldn't be till, so there's a one, so my final part was about, you know, why do this now? If we postpone it, there's a 1-year build time. So if we order this truck in July or August, we're not gonna see it till a year from now, July or August. And what we can look at is what has happened with the price of the truck. So, and it's not just this particular company, it's, you know, all of the companies. The prices of the truck go up by over 3% every single year. And that's, you can just go back and look at the price history on those. And so we anticipate that would be the minimum amount, that they'd go up every year from here on. And the interest rates are actually below, they're fairly low interest rates, so below the 3%. So that's why, you know, when we think about the purchase, it's not what condition are our trucks in today. I mean, like I said already, we're spending a lot of money on these trucks and maintenance every year, but what are they gonna be like in if we did that, what would it be like in 2 years from now? Because we gotta think about that whole year, we still have to, you know, keep up with that, so.
and beyond that, we're getting a product that is gonna be safer for the firefighters,
And
safer for the
improve the
residents.
operation so much better,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
All right,
Sounds good to me.
thank you.
Well, I appreciate you coming in with all
Oh,
this
no
information.
problem.
I think it'll help out anybody watching it.
So we know that the next grant's gotta be at least $1 million, right?
Yeah.
My best.
we try, we definitely try.
We'll try.
Thanks for coming
Thank
in.
you.
You guys, you have fun with your boys. Where are they all hanging out?
What's
Continue
that?
the good work.
Don't, never mind.
I gotta go find them, I guess.
Yeah.
I
All
know
right,
you're
thanks again.
definitely gonna- Bye, Chief.
Bye-bye.
All right, we do have an appointment. We did have it scheduled for
And
8:30.
very patient.
Apologize for that.
No problem at all.
Our mayor is one of the candidates for treasurer collector. All the candidates are doing interviews on cable, but she wanted an opportunity to meet the selectmen and introduce herself.
Okay, so I just want to say, we're just asking you to come in and, we're not gonna ask you any questions, we're not gonna grill, we just come in, say hi, who
Speak for
you are, and you wanna hang around afterward, that's fine.
me.
So it's just, you know, no endorsements, no, just,
I am just
He's
here to
taking all the
introduce
fun.
myself to those of you who don't know me. My name is Robin Marr. I'm a 28-year resident here in Halifax, but I think some of you don't necessarily put the name and the face together, and I just wanted to do that tonight and let you know I am running for treasurer collector. I have 30 years financial services experience that I hope to bring here to the town hall. So, thank you. That's it. Just a few minutes of your time.
No, we feel terrible, we've made you wait a whole time.
No problem at all. It's been interesting to sit and listen. Very good thing.
well, we can get interested.
It can.
Okay, well,
You put a
Pam was
pin in the balloon, it's the first.
okay. Well, that's, all right,
Thank you so
moving
much.
right
Thank you so
along.
much.
Thank you so much for
You
coming in,
don't
sorry we
look
were
a day over
late.
30, 28 years.
I know, don't tell. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Charlie, nothing else on the schedule?
I don't think we have anything else on the schedule outside of the.
We have some nice ladies hanging around in
I think they just like hanging around.
yeah.
You know how I used to say, I always say,
We're groupies.
I'm the only groupie for the school
Groupies,
committee.
huh?
I'm the only one
Returning the favor.
on a normal, like, non-budget meeting, so this is awesome.
So United Way Plymouth County, they have cleanup day bags available, and I said to them, sure, we're gonna do a cleanup day. I knew Montpon's Watershed Association was gonna do one, I contacted them, and after I figured all this out, I heard back from them, they said they already have bags, but Montpon's is doing their cleanup day on May 9th. I contacted the beautification committee, a couple of times I didn't hear back from them. What I'm gonna suggest is that the board could, in fact, declare May 9th to be a general cleanup day along with Montpon's doing its work, and I can use the bags for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have the first cleanup day again, maybe for a couple of
I
years.
know.
I really would like to see it go off, and if there's an offer of bags, that's always
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I accepted the offer of the bags, so I just wanna have an event to use them for.
So May 9th works for you?
May 9th works for me.
My son's graduating from college that day.
How dare you do
Yeah,
that?
I know, so I will not.
Tell them to come down and pick some trash out.
Give him his first job. I was gonna say, he's gonna need a job, right? Or he can, do it as an internship program and put it on his resume, work for the town of Halifax.
And who knows, there has been money found on the highway.
Well,
Pay for it.
My plan would be for 9 AM to 12 noon, we'd be at town hall, I'll contact the community groups, if people have areas they want to designate, and I'll contact Bob Adore at the highway barn to tell them where we're gonna have bags that need to be picked up off the road.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we declare May 9th to be cleanup day in Halifax.
Second.
Does Bob stay open longer on that day?
No, what he does is he makes himself available.
Oh, okay. Well, if you got this many crews out there, you might have a
Well, we'll see what comes up.
pretty good day, huh?
He's been good about picking the bags
Well,
up.
we ought to get all the Eagle Scouts in the new car, clean the road up. Since those Eagle Scouts, good people.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
The regional planning, emergency planning group,
Yeah.
which is now Saken Rock, they're looking for the towns in the group to designate someone as a community emergency response coordinator, and that's the person who's working with the group. Chief Rios has been going to those meetings, he's also the FEMA director, and he recommends that he be appointed as the.
I make a motion that we appoint Chief Averos to the Sachem Rock Regional Emergency Planning Council as the Community Emergency Response Coordinator.
Second.
Charlie, there was some literature on that?
Well, there's a
Yeah, it had
package of
some.
bylaws, but
Yeah.
it's not,
This
the
is,
board doesn't have to take any vote on them or anything like that. If somebody wants a copy, I'll make a copy of them.
So this is
I
the-
thought you gave us a copy already.
No,
Yeah.
this is,
I
I
go.
don't know, 20 pages or so.
right, so this is a, do you know what that is, right, the Sachem Rock?
Okay, then I guess I already gave you a copy, but
Yeah.
that's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so if but there's no vote necessary on those right now, they're just sending them out for
Yes.
drafts.
Yeah, it's in its infancy, and it, for disasters, natural or otherwise, and the three Bridgewaters, Hanson, Whitman, Halifax.
Yeah, I serve on the shelter subcommittee of that Sachem Rock, and we're trying to put together a list of supplies, and it's been pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They're pretty organized.
So it's good, so if any one town gets hit more than the other towns come in and they
Yeah,
assist out. It was an interesting read.
Are they able to get any federal grants or anything to work from?
we're working on it, I mean, we definitely,
Yeah, there is some mention of federal.
Red Cross has
money
been,
available.
Red Cross has been very.
You have to get organized first in order to
Yeah.
apply for the grant.
And they're open-ended seats, and they could be a town official, you could be emergency management. So,
As long as you have an emergency.
So the appointment's been made, was that approved?
Yes, a couple.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
On junk dealers, last meeting, the board had approved Mom's Secret Closet for their junk dealer's license. The other one, Halifax Gold and Silver Coin Shop, I believe has moved out from their venue down at the Cumberland Farms Plaza, and there's been no word from them, so there's no decision for the board to make about renewal because they didn't come in and ask for renewal.
And the last day of this license would be on the 30th.
Correct.
That's when it
This month.
expires. Okay.
So, not a renewal.
Inspector of Animals, Board of Health's nominated Lisa McKay for another term as animal inspector. It gets sent up to the state for approval. No actions needed by the board. We just wanted the board to be aware of that.
For the Board of Health. Well, we get a bunch of other ones, right?
Eventually, yeah. What Pam has done already, there's no action for you to take, but she gave you a full list of the people who are coming up for appointment for the June cycle. And that's and you just got that, so that's there for the board to review and comment. If you have any questions or concerns, that you can contact Pam about them.
Right, ACO and,
Well, you know, Concom, zoning board
the
of
licensing
appeals,
authority for
recreation.
employees.
No,
and-
actually, she's up on the 30th, so we'll do that.
And so we're getting to that.
Oh, okay, that is tonight, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, is that, okay.
it wasn't in my notes, but it's in Pam's notes.
Do you want to do it now, where we're on that subject?
If it's not in those, why don't we,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Noreen Callahan as the Animal Control Officer with a new term that would expire on April 30th, 2016.
Second.
sounds like she's been doing a good job. and-
It's been an excellent job.
Barbara's fine,
A lot of positive comments about her in the neighborhoods.
working well with the collectors at the
She works great with the town clerk.
Yeah.
clerk's office. Yeah. So, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Right.
On the OPEB trust, the board had approved the OPEB trust a couple of weeks ago, but one thing I didn't publicize then, but I want to publicize now, the setup for the trustees there are 4 town officials, but there's a 5th at-large member, so we'll be sending out a press release, but I'm also doing this tonight to publicize it during the meeting, that we are looking for a 5th at-large member resident of Halifax to serve as a trustee. Just to go back over what this is, OPEB is for other post-employment benefits for our retirees, the retirees from the town service. In general, that means we're covering part of the cost, for instance, for their health insurance. That's the major thing. We need to be setting aside money for future payments, and money goes into the trust, but then the trust needs to be investing that money. The board already approved investment guidelines and such, but the trustees will work with an investment advisor to in fact invest the funds and meet, at this point, it's probably maybe a couple times a year at the most, I would expect. Trust is not that large, it's maybe about $130,000. We're just starting out, but we thought that it was important to have somebody from outside the town government serve also in that capacity. So if you're interested in serving as an OPEB trustee, contact the Selectmen's office or get the talent bank form changed to update that too, but you can call the Selectmen's office at 781-294-1316.
Is that open? Or is
Open
that-
term.
I think it's going to be up to the board to make that decision. I have to also check the trustee bylaws to see if there's any limitations on that.
I think it's just Pam.
Okay.
I know, I just realized I had to pan that window okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
On the trail permit for Larry Avenue, our town council had talked with our building inspector and had talked to the state authorities on the matter and got resolved so that we'll extend the permit. This was, person had a damaged house and the permit's being extended for a full year. Our town council is going to be working with the Attorney General's office, take another look at our bylaw and the state laws to see whether we need to make any changes or whether in fact the state law needs to be changed to reflect the Attorney General's interpretation of what should be happening.
So it's a review of our current bylaw?
Along with the AG reviewing the state law too.
Are they doing it just for us, or?
Well, the situation is such that, yeah, in a sense, this situation is causing them to review it, let's put it that way. Old Colony Elder Services, Joan Jolly would like to serve another term as the town's representative. Barbara Brenton is recommending her appointment. This is for a term expiring on June 30th, 2016, and they wanted to meaning the Old Colony Elder Services, wanted to get this information or the appointment done soon. I'm not waiting until June 30th, it was May 22nd, the deadline.
Mrs. Jolly's great, she's awesome. She's come in and seen, she's met with us a few times. So I will make a motion that we appoint Joan Jolly to serve another term as the representative for the Old Colony Elder Services with a term expiring June 30th, 2016.
Second.
And why are we doing this when they had other rest of
Because the agency wants all the appointments made earlier than waiting until the last meeting in June.
So we don't need to move the date up?
No,
We can
simply-
just appoint early?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Northland's property, we have a letter from Division of Fisheries and Wildlife, from a couple of options from them if the town is interested. One is to purchase back the land that was just transferred to the town for for a value not to exceed $250,000. The division would then proceed with creating a new parking area there off Elm Street and a new section of gated access road tying into the former access roads so public could have access through this section in Halifax. Another possibility is that they would purchase what's called a conservation restriction, which would limit the use of the land, but the limit would include, in fact, putting the paved parking area and the access and such. There's no need for action by the board tonight. In fact, what I told Division of Fisheries and Wildlife is I would fully expect the board to, I want to consult, talk among themselves, send a note out to the departments and bring this back by at a future meeting, probably in May or June. But I wanted the board to be aware that the offer has been made.
Can we set up a trip? I mean, it's been a while since I've been on that property, since it was called Bog 18.
Right.
You know, it's been a while since I
The
was
board
down
could
there.
pick a date to go out.
Maybe we go out and walk it, find out what's going on. Yeah, Bog 18.
I'm so excited.
That's what it is.
Something was interesting that it would be difficult to put a parking lot in, but yet they would offer to put it in for us if they were to be sold the property.
Where are we talking about for the difficulty there?
Ready? First paragraph.
Well, right,
Given a limitation
right.
frontage,
The
ownership.
current ownership that they have right now, it would be difficult putting a parking lot in.
The current ownership meaning us?
No, what they have in Halifax is very difficult for them to put in a parking lot of access into the land. If they obtain ownership back from us of the parcel that was just transferred, then it's very
We
easy.
give them some frontage.
So their portion that they already own, it's difficult to do, that's why they need our portion,
Right.
whether we
If we put
sell
out,
it
if
or.
we don't, we can do it.
Well, I don't know that the town would want to, in fact, have to maintain and
Right.
patrol and such.
Do we have a forestry department?
No, we don't.
We have a forest warden.
We have a
Tree
tree
warden,
warden, which
yeah.
I don't know that
That's only trees, not forest.
for $1 a year, I'm not quite sure the tree warden would be too interested in having to take on these additional duties.
And where were they before when we wanted this to take care of? And all of a sudden now they,
How many years, 10 years?
I'm not sure of the question.
wasn't it offered, wasn't it them who, I can't,
Well,
I don't have as much
the way
history.
way it was originally was, they were supposed to give us X amount of monies for that property.
Okay, yeah.
And the state refused to do that. We fought them for 10 years and they've been claiming to go to the legislators and they had the law changed to give the land to us.
The original agreement in 2002 said that they were supposed to give us a check, which they did, and also a parcel of land, which never happened.
Which is this,
This parcel here.
and they
which
never
I-
gave it to us.
Which, because they said that we needed to file special legislation for that to happen. That legislation finally got filed, I think,
Yeah.
2012. Then got approved last year, and we finally got the deed just a few weeks ago. So now we own that parcel. Now, but the thing is, all along, they've said, we'd be interested in fact, owning this parcel, buying it back from you. This is their offer to do so.
Yeah, but they could have moved this way back 10 years ago.
Well, again,
They could have moved this then and they.
Again, the
That's what I
state,
got from Troy from
the
this
state
ago.
had indicated that it was the town's responsibility to file the special legislation. That's what they're stating. Nevertheless, whether it's 10 years or 12 years or 15 years now, they're still interested.
Great.
If they were interested then, it would have been resolved a long time ago. But anyways, Troy's familiar with it mostly, so rely on your.
So I don't know if the board wanted to pick a date at some point to go out on a field trip, invite other town departments to go along, whatever, it's up to the board.
As long as there's not snow on the ground, I don't want to go.
Can't promise that, it's still before Mother's Day.
Or mosquitoes.
I'm happy to do it, I'll go for the walk. Yep, but I'm very
Can I
excited.
bring my fishing rod with me?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever works.
Okay, we'll see what I can pick up, and I'll talk to you all about the date. I don't know, I don't expect to try and put something together before town meeting, because what I probably would do is invite these folks also,
Yes.
and it would make sense that anybody who has an interest to come out.
Perfect. Thank you.
I'm also just gonna send a note out to the departments to tell them, first, we're doing this, and second, when I get a date, let them know.
Every conservation would be involved in that too, right?
It could, there's nothing specific for them.
So you- also those committees, you'd also.
Yeah, I just send a note out to all the departments.
Well, committees, departments.
When
you say departments, I'm thinking of the departments.
I understand what you mean, and when I say departments, I mean every board, committee,
All of
department.
it, okay, okay.
It takes me less time to say that. Housing Authority resignation, we have a letter of resignation from Patricia Bright. She's resigned from the Housing Authority. And I know the town clerk has that, so the normal thing would be for us to send a letter to the Housing Authority, looking to meet with them at some future time to elect a new member to replace Ms. Bright. Also, again, we'll send out a press release, but if someone is interested in serving on the Housing Authority, there's now an open seat there, and I believe they meet approximately once a month usually. And they run the Parsons Lane Housing Authority project there.
So a person could have a write-in if they wanted for this position for
Well,
the selection?
No, what's funny is there's an open seat in May, in a couple of weeks, which is, in fact is open. There's nobody right now, I believe.
Correct. Nobody's on the ballot.
No one pulled papers for the open seat that's up this year. Ms. Bright would be a different seat, and we can't put that seat on the ballot this
Oh,
day.
okay. I didn't realize that was one that was still already open.
So at minimum, hoping somebody will write in the one that is open for the housing authority.
So,
And what do they do with it mostly?
well, they have an executive director, in this case, I think it's John McCollum who also, basically, the Halifax Housing Authority is contracted out with Pembroke, for Pembroke to manage the Parsons Lane property. But the committee members, the Housing Authority members, will meet once a month, I believe it's on a monthly basis, to meet with the executive director to go over what's happening with the project, make sure it's being well run and such.
This appointment's resigned immediately or at the
Yes.
end of the term now?
Yeah. It's effective immediately.
Well, we've had difficulty getting him, the new director in here to even talk to. Have you had any conversations with him lately? Because we even had a mailbox in here.
You know, other than the information which I had not known until a couple months ago, that our housing authority contracted with Pembroke, and he wanted an asterisk, because technically he's not the executive director for the Halifax Housing Authority. It's simply, he's on behalf of the Pembroke Housing Authority, he's doing this work. So technically there's no executive director, and he wanted that as an asterisk on the website, so people understood that.
But they're still taking care of it and
Yeah.
overseeing it. So we need to get somebody in there. That would help us a little more proactive.
And we'll do the publicity, we'll see what we get. Patrol officer contract, this is something the board had previously met in executive session, already done.
Could I move that we send a letter to Pat for her time spent? She's been there for a while. I'd like to thank her for the service and congratulate her on whatever venture she's going forward.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Thanks Pat for your service. Sorry to see you go. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the patrol officer contract, the board had previously handled this in executive session. We never got it written up to add the legal studies to the majors that were, or degrees that were possible that qualified for the educational stipend. So this is the amendment to the contract that would do that.
Do you need another motion, or do we just simply
And
sign
we
it?
need to do that in open session also, having done an executive session.
Okay, so I will make the motion that we execute the contract to include the legal studies as a degree for the incentive, education incentive in the patrolman's contract.
From what was the date? It was only up to a certain date?
Well, the only people who were members of the department before July 1st, 2014 are going to be eligible for this.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I'll second it.
I'd abstain from the vote on that, so you guys don't think it will.
All those in favor?
Historical Society would like to have the annual spring plant sale on the Town Hall Green on Saturday, May 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is the same day,
As a
obviously,
cleanup
as a
day.
cleanup day, which, as far as I'm concerned, that's even better. And
Ideal.
also, it's the
Yeah.
same day as the Congregational Church's rummage sale, which they're not using the town hall for, they're just doing it across the way here. But again, the more people who come out to one event, they'll come out maybe and participate in one of the other events. So I don't see any conflicts in terms of space. And in fact, I think we've had other years where the rummage sale and the plant sale have been held on the same day. So I'm recommending.
I would move that we allow the Historical Society to have their plant sale on May 9th in the town hall in
Green.
front area.
Second.
Town green, it says town hall here.
It sounds like I'm making an exciting day, a lot of stuff's happening to me, so. 9, sorry. Somebody's paying attention.
Well, seventh, we got the presentation, but also, I think traditionally, they put a sign up on the front lawn, I think,
Yes,
a week
they
before.
We okay to sign
Yeah.
that? Motion was okay.
Yep, I'll include that in there, and I will,
Amend
you
your,
amend your-
yeah. I'll amend my,
to include the sign.
include the signage on town property prior to the plant sale.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we already handled the fire department sign, we have the opioid conference, if you're going, you need to RSVP for that, that's an all-day affair up in Brockton.
You did, thank you. I didn't get a confirmation email.
Because I gave them your email.
Yeah. It's okay.
Do you want to call me tomorrow?
Would you mind?
No.
Thank you. I'll be in the afternoon. I'll be in mid-morning. Thanks.
We got another gunning letter from BMI, but that's no action for the board, we're voting on an article to fund this at town meeting.
Are they aware of it, any of this?
Yes, I told them that.
Were they elated?
I don't think that they have any emotional basis.
They've been torturing us for 2 years, 3 years, haven't they?
Hydrant flushing notice. Halifax Water Department's gonna start flushing the water mains and hydrants on or about May 4th. They're gonna be flushed between the hours of 7 and midnight on Monday through Thursday. And some of the subdivisions, such as Cranberry Drive, Clydo, Bosworth, Highland Woods, Sealy, may be flushed during the day between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. This work's gonna continue until the entire system is flushed. It's gonna take approximately 2 weeks, weather permitting, and water users should check the water for discoloration before using it to wash light-colored clothing.
Will this solve the brown water problem that some
Well,
people in town have been experiencing?
the thing is, it may solve some of the problems. I think also, unfortunately, some of the problems were for individual homeowners with their own water systems. It wasn't just
Piping and something?
in their own houses. So,
Yes, but after long
Yeah.
discussions with the water superintendent, he does feel
Right.
that this
Oh,
will
absolutely.
help a majority of the households, because there's certainly, there may be a few, but
Right.
not the number of people who have been
It seems to be all
experiencing.
in one area.
I experience it, town hall experiences
Right.
it.
Really?
Yeah, and one of the things that they had done was, the EP had issued various guidelines for doing this, and they said it's recommended to do it once a year. What water departments figured out after doing this for a couple of years is that doing a once a year hydrant flush is not properly flushing the system. They're gonna need to do this twice a year, so they're going back to that schedule, do spring and fall.
Yep, so
Twice a
hopefully,
year, huh?
yep.
They're
hopefully
letting
we'll-
us get rid of that water, that.
Well, I think
water?
that's one of the things.
Yeah, I mean, that's their, just as long as my lawn don't disappear.
Let's hope.
Building inspector, zoning enforcement officer, there's a copy of the job description in your folders. This is one that had been submitted to Wager Personal months ago when they asked for the job descriptions. I don't know if the board wanted to set a deadline of May 22nd for applications and then possibly choose candidates on May 26th, and then you could hold interviews the first meeting in June, which I believe would be June 10th.
That would work. Would that work for you?
I think that's a good idea.
The description seemed fine.
And then we'll go ahead and do that.
I mean, you had all the energy part in there, which is something new to us. The stretch code.
Flammable storage, we just have one permit that now I have to worry about. 3 of the 4 permit holders had back taxes that they owed, and they've set up payment plans with the treasurer collector. One has indicated that they don't want to renew, but we still need to go through the revocation hearing. So I'll set that up for May 26th. One of the three that set up the payment plan is on a weekly payment plan. I'm gonna check with the treasurer collector next Tuesday to see if the person's in compliance. If they aren't, then I'll still set up the hearing on the 26th.
Okay.
Doesn't mean that the person's license will be revoked at that time, but because there's a lead time, I have to mail that person certified mail at least 2 weeks in advance of the hearing and such. So I have to get that set up. You've already done the Council on Aging and the Go the Distance Challenge. We've already talked to the fire chief, obviously, about the fire department grant for the CPR devices. We have a request for recycling abatement. I've listed the bill numbers. This is for 4 years from 2009 to 2012. A municipal lien certificate was issued at the time of the sale in 2012. You have a copy of the municipal lien certificate. For whatever reason, whoever was responsible for paying the recycling fee did not. Now, the person who now owns the property, the new owner, the one who bought it in 2012, said, well, that's not my fault.
It's the closing attorney's fault.
Well, and what I'm recommending is that we hold this, table it, and I'll make an actual decision on it, and contact the residents, say, we need the paperwork of the closing showing who in fact is responsible, and then we can follow up.
Is that a reasonable plan?
Is it worth
Well, it's,
$200?
yeah, it's $200.
On principle, I think.
So we haven't done that before? I mean, 'cause
We've
we've had these happen.
We've had circumstances where the town has issued a municipal lien certificate and not included it. In that case, that I would say that's the town's error, and I'm not going to fault the current owner
Well, this
for
is
that.
on the other end, that we actually,
We did include
we
it.
did include it or not. Okay. That'd be interesting.
MMA, sorry.
I would move that we table this issue until such time as we get some information concerning who and where the bills have been paid.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
The MMA had sent out a letter at the end of last week. The board may be aware the House is currently debating the budget for fiscal 16. There's 1,000 amendments that are coming up. Literally 1,000 amendments, or I think 1,096 is what was mentioned. They are asking for the cities and towns to support or oppose various amendments. Obviously, a number of them have to do with finances. I would be recommending that the town contact Representative Coulter and ask him to support those that would fund the various mandates like special education, regional transportation, transportation for homeless students who are going to other school districts. On the other hand, there's an amendment that would weaken the presumption on lung and heart disease for public safety employees. The trade-off that was made a couple of decades ago was that police and fire personnel who suffered lung or disease or something like, or cancer, would be presumed to have had that occur because of their job. But in trade, those personnel can't be smoking at all. They can't be using tobacco products at all. And so that's been the trade-off. You have a representative who would like to us to say, well, maybe we should put them on a smoking cessation program instead.
Do they have any of them anymore?
Well, not specifically for municipal employees. I mean, there's smoking cessation programs all over the place.
Should I find them?
Okay, well, I don't know. But I'd be recommending that the town contact Representative Coulter to oppose that amendment. The other one was, where I found out about, was another amendment that would eliminate the prevailing wage for projects under $50,000. I think it's unlikely to pass, but it'd be worthwhile to support, yes.
Okay, do you need a motion for that kind
Yeah,
of
because
done?
I'm gonna,
Which one, I mean, that's some paperwork that we got.
I believe so, I believe I made copies for the board.
Walk fast.
Oh, my.
Oh.
If you don't have one, I can use one.
Actually, that's something I just got today.
Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't something that was in
No, it
folder? Because I saw legislature in there that is not referring to it. Right? No. No. Yeah, this one. That's not this one.
Yeah, that's not that one, no. There's no connection to that.
All right, but is there something?
I believe,
That's okay. Do we have a motion, sir?
I don't think you had any motion.
No, I was waiting, you were going through.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't the same thing. I mean, instead of talking about the smoking thing, I saw some, didn't hear about it.
I mean, I guess there's maybe some confusion on my part here. Are they saying cigarette smoking or smoke, or they're going in caustic fires or things of that nature?
Well, the trade-off, as I mentioned, was that because public safety employees might have to be in environments like that, that the presumption was that if they had lung disease and such, it was because of their work. But that meant that they couldn't smoke either, in the sense of it, that was a trade-off. If we're going to presume that you're having lung disease because of your work, you can't be doing something else that would cause lung disease, such as smoking.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, well, that's why I had to be clear though, because I know as a firefighter, as a policeman, a lot of times you go into caustic air before you realize it's caustic, before you put your mask on, so, okay. Then I would move that we,
Carl?
I would move that we vote to, similar to Representative Calder's, to vote against those two articles that were mentioned, 601 and
804.
804, but to
is
support, but
Just
to,
for 804.
but to
804.
support the prevailing wage
Prevailing wage,
clause
yeah.
and the other
And
unfunded.
also the funding of the various mandates.
Right.
I will second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Michael, I didn't include this in my notes because I know I got a letter, I didn't realize you had gotten one. And so I got one specifically to me. If you want me to speak to that, I can.
Was there copies for the board?
No, because again, you got a copy that
Okay.
was addressed to you specifically. I got a copy that was addressed to me specifically. I didn't,
Well, they haven't had a chance to read it. I guess you can try.
well, the thing really is it's a Board of Health issue
Okay.
in terms of retailing of tobacco products and e-cigarettes and such. It's not under the jurisdiction through myself or the board. It's something that would be under the jurisdiction of the Board of Health.
Who's retailing cigarettes? I mean, the stores that sell them, or?
Right, this is a totally different thing
Yeah,
than
they're
we're talking
looking to
about.
accelerate model regulations. They're looking to add some possible new regulations. It's called the CRR Coalition for Responsible Retailing. They're looking for, I guess, parents or guardians are okay to allow their kids or something to smoke cigarettes with one of them. They want to eliminate that. Eligible adults that provide tobacco products to persons on minimum legal sales.
They're trying to make it illegal that kids?
And, well, I guess if you're a parent, your kid wants to smoke and you want to let them have the cigarettes, it's legal for you to be able to give them cigarettes.
Well, that falls in the same line of if a parent gives a party and it serves alcohol to them, they're breaking the law, so.
Well, I mean, but you're also taking away parents.
Well,
It's a two-edged sword, so. But
They're
it's a
still
little more
breaking the law.
involved than just.
But I simply, all I did, since it was outside my jurisdiction, I made a copy of the letter, gave it to the Board of Health. It's their bailiwick, not mine. If the board wants to revisit this at some other time, we can, but
Well,
it is.
I mean, to me, that's the same as some kid giving somebody some money to go and buy liquor and walking out the store and passing it off to them. If a parent's buying
Did you make
cigarettes
money
and
doing
it's
that?
illegal,
I used to get it and then go the other way.
if a parent's buying cigarettes and giving them to a kid, that's still illegal.
No, if it's their own child, that's what they're saying. They want to adjust the the legislation to say
I
that.
can appreciate that if in fact they're gonna pay for all the costs and everything, if the person does develop cancer or something, that instead of public money not being used.
What's the parent or guardian, they have to.
Okay, what's
I
next?
can keep going.
What's next?
Okay, just
But also had the smokeless, those cigarettes, the smokeless things you like to talk about.
a few other things that I don't have mail for, but just so the board realizes, we have opened the process for recruiting a new highway department employee. Deadline for the applications is May 15th. Common Core workshops, I didn't know, I had a message from John Tuffy asking if any of the board members wanted to play any role in the workshops that are being held at the school tomorrow night, or, sorry, you're right.
No, go ahead, finish that.
Or on, next week on May 7th.
I saw him today, and I told him if he needed, I'm gonna attend both, if he needed me for anything, and I would be happy to assist, but, you know, it is a school committee sponsored event.
It's still
Don't you have a graduation?
No, the meeting tomorrow night I'm going to,
Oh.
and then there's another meeting on the 12th, right?
7th,
7.
The 7th?
it's Thursday, May 7th.
The 12th is gonna be kinda
We'll be
hot.
occupied.
That's what I said, that 7th's a busy day.
Well, yeah,
That's in the utility
Sorry.
room, right?
It's all right, so it's a busy day, it runs into the night, so you'll be busy
Well,
all day.
what's
and all
new? We're here now.
day.
Yeah,
No,
You
but if
only
you
work
need me,
during the
I'm
day.
gonna be there, like, whatever you need.
ZBA has sent us a contract with Pesky Engineering and Associates. They are the engineering advisor.
Excited, sorry.
They're the engineering advisor for the ZBA on the Chapter 40B Blackledge.
Can I just clarify something? It's not sponsored by the school committee, they did invite them, we wanted the forums.
Yes.
Thank you.
touchy.
So I would ask that the board approve the contracts that's been reviewed by town council. He's okayed them. Again, there's a review engineer that the ZBA can hire on its own behalf. The cost is paid by the applicant, but that's why they have somebody who has an expertise to help them review the application.
The Blackledge project?
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for the engineer and the ZBA.
There is no block for the board to sign, just sign the blank space on the left
Okay,
of the last page of the contract, right?
is it just one copy, Charlie?
2 copies.
Thank you.
I know that,
Pam can just maybe date and board of selectmen and clean up and...
Okay, so Roy, anybody second that?
Of course I did.
on the code of conduct for visitors, I know the board had some concerns about the term, but,
All right, we gotta finish. Was there a second try? Choice, second, any further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. She got a daughter eyes and, daughter T's and cross her eyes.
Yeah.
on the code of conduct for visitors, I wanted to return this back to the board. I know the board had some concerns about the wording of that same code of conduct. I don't have any problems calling it something else, or whatever the board is interested in calling it. But I wanted to revisit the subject of setting up a code of conduct for visitors, whatever it's called.
I mentioned that last week, code of, I can't even remember what it was now. Just over here. No, I think we took it out.
We're back on the smoking thing again, huh?
No, I got my toothpick. Mutual respect, code of mutual respect. Something just sounds... And the second thing was, we had one for the town hall
I
we
was
wanted to
going
do.
to try and put something together. I ran out of time to present that to the Wage and Personnel Board.
I mean, it'd almost be nice to do it at the same time, together. That's my thoughts on that. And the code of conduct kind of, to me is a little more juvenile than a code of mutual respect. Kind of just,
I don't have any
to me, it just presents better to me.
It does present better, but it is a code of conduct. It is about what's expected of somebody to act and mutual and if you just use the term mutual respect, I'm afraid you're gonna not.
Well,
It
first
covers
of
all
all,
the other
this is a public building, you can't, you're not supposed to smoke in it, drink in it, smoke of any kind. I don't care if
I
it's
think it's
the
more-
artificial one or any changes,
I
but
think
Well,
it's
that's
more
one,
like,
that's actually one of the things on the list.
that's,
oh, it is, you can't
It's
come in carrying your
No,
junk.
no smoking, drinking,
visitors, the
alcohol,
conduct of
or
visitors when they come into the building as well as
I mean, you
workers.
can't do that anyway, I don't know this,
But some people,
who's done that? You point them out to me, I would be happy to go.
Well,
walk
we
in
still,
there.
we have a sign up on the door, for instance, saying, don't bring your dogs in, people bring their dogs in.
yes.
And they don't have them on a leash.
I mean, those are my thoughts on it. I thought it should be done in conjunction with the town hall as well. And code of conduct to me is mutual respect, just comes across to me better. Or another term, if you guys can pick this on, you know, other than conduct. It's just, you know,
I don't know what else we would call it.
List of expectations, how.
that's my spiel.
Okey-dokey.
I'm sticking to it.
Well, it's a discussion, that's.
So I don't know if the board wants to do anything
I
about this
think we can
tonight.
move on from, I don't know, I mean,
If the board wants to implement this, that's great, if it doesn't want
I-
to implement it, if they want to rename it,
I don't, Barbara, if I may,
go ahead.
you've been around a while.
She gets yelled at more than most. Is that what you're trying?
I'm not talking about
You're
just.
trying to-
Yeah, but I can hold my own.
So, yeah, I think that the respect that needs to be given to the people who work in the town hall and everything else, they have to conduct themselves in such a way. I don't know even term to be used. I don't think it's derogatory, code of conduct, but at the same time, I think something needs to be in place to let people know how they should conduct themselves when they come to the building. They don't curse somebody out, they don't smoke in front of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not taken away from town hall, it's just, hey, I'm respecting you, you respect me. Mutual respect. That's what I'm saying. I'm not, you know what I mean, code of conduct is, to me, is more of an elementary level word type of.
But I think, I understand what you're saying, but I also think that the person, if they're pre-warned, that in fact, that you have to conduct themselves in a certain way, it also opens up the door of any type of punishment or something may come down because of their acting out or doing something that's.
It's called to get arrested.
Well, no, usually it's more going to be, you're not going to be allowed in the building.
Yeah.
Well, that's next.
No, the rest is worse than that. I would say simply you're not going to be allowed in the building if you're going to behave in that fashion. I mean, if you're in a private workplace, you're not allowed to behave in certain ways.
Have you?
Yeah, let's take them out back.
You
We don't have that
reworded,
option.
you reworded it from the last time we
No, I
saw
haven't
it?
changed anything. I'm happy to just resubmit it to the board in a couple of weeks. I don't know what changes the board would like in it.
I think it's fine. I don't even mind the name of
Well, that's what I want to know. I didn't see anything that really jumped off me and said that somebody has to come in here and go through a dress code. Of course, they gotta have clothes on, but at the same time,
It's a different law.
it's a different law.
We don't have a dress code, especially on Fridays.
I don't have any problem with it. I think it's necessary. Unfortunately, we live by rules and regulations, and I think it ought to be put in place.
So we've had behavior that it's necessary to have this,
it. Oh, sure.
and it happens often.
No, thankfully it doesn't.
How often does it happen?
Doesn't matter.
Well,
If it happens
I-
once,
you know,
and we
I-
come down the hallway, somebody's
I'm
wrestling on
just
the
asking the
floor.
I would say what, probably
Once-
once a month that it
once a
really
month?
gets this level, not by
I would-
phone. I mean, I would include the phone calls, but certainly people,
Those are more frequent, actually.
right,
Yes.
for people coming in and,
Being upset and slamming the doors and not,
swearing at employees, for instance.
and at that point, how would it help if somebody slamming the door, that would prompt
Well, I think what happens is that you get other people to get that person aside and say, you have to understand there is a code of conduct here. Your behavior is not acceptable. If you continue to behave in this fashion, you need to leave.
So if they're slamming the door, usually they're on their way out, right?
If they approach the counter, Michael, and then they start cussing you or giving you a really, really hard time, and it escalates a little bit, as they're leaving, they're still yelling at you down the hallway and slamming the door and walking out, is what I meant, kind of thing. And yes, that does happen.
Yeah, I witnessed that.
So at that point, what happens?
Well, if they're already out the door, we're not gonna chase them into the parking lot, but if they're still here and that's going on, and it's happened. People have called me up to the second floor, they've called me down the other side of the building to intercede, mediate, when
Yes.
these things
Yeah.
happen.
And Charlie can move.
Pretty quick.
Okay, so what are we doing with that? I
Again,
mean,
this is what I.
we're gonna send them a letter?
No, what I would do first, what I just said, is that I bring them aside, say, look, your behavior's not,
Now, if you can't catch them in the parking lot, you know.
I'm not going after them in the parking lot.
Right, so
Michael.
so how are you gonna get them?
Okay, there's two parts to this. One, we publicize it. We're publicizing it right
That's
now.
why I'm having that discussion.
Okay, but
I'm trying to
no,
make it fun.
I understand that.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the code of conduct for visitors as written.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, I don't have any information on Oak Place, on the Facebook presence. I brought this up about a month ago, or a month and a half ago now, I think. I didn't know if the board had thought about whether we should have an official Facebook page for the town. We would not be doing a dialogue type of situation. It can be simply a series of announcements on there. I know probably about 6 or 8 of the departments in Halifax, Lights, Hollies, and Halifax have their own pages. I think it'd be helpful to have one specifically for the town itself, but it's not a conversational page. We're not going there because we can't monitor and delete posts and things like that from other people.
We need a new code of conduct.
That's,
And it wouldn't work.
I don't know why the town would need a Facebook.
Yeah, it's called, everybody should have one.
Well, of course, I'm anti-electronics anyway, but.
No, I mean, I was just reading some of Charlie's comments when that fair came up. And just what you see on TV and the reactions that go on just at a drop of a hat and the thin skin, and I think it just causes problems.
well, but that's why we don't get into a dialogue situation.
Well, that's what you're telling us now,
Yes.
right? But that's my thinking when I'm looking at this. You know, how do we react? Communications, hostile work environments, harassment. I mean, you name it all. Do we even want to open this door?
Well,
You know?
well, the door's already open, it's wide open.
Well, we don't have it here. I mean, we have enough avenues that
But Michael,
currently,
the things that I've mentioned are already caused. As I said, you put a Facebook page, you can limit how it's used. People won't be able to post things on that page unless they have certain rights to do that. They won't have that. If Jane Public or John Public comes in electronically and wants to post something, they won't be able to do that.
It's just for informational
Right.
purposes only.
Yeah.
It's just like posting on.
no, I understand what he's saying. But what I'm reading here is there was a lot of things going on, I'm saying, we don't need this.
Well-
But if you're saying Facebook meeting just to put it out,
Yeah,
and that's it, we don't
Right.
respond, we don't
Well,
react,
this
we
is,
don't,
we,
I mean, at a drop of a hat.
well, and that is, for all of us as town employees, and I include the volunteers for that, you make judgment calls about how much you want to in fact participate personally. So for instance, I'll give you an example. There's Halifax Locals, it has about 2,400 people who subscribe to it. That's more people than probably take any of the newspapers that are available here, probably more people than listen to WATD, probably more people who watch any particular news broadcast.
That's true.
So when we had the snow emergencies, I reluctantly, because I don't like doing this, put information up. I didn't get any bad responses about, so we had a list of closures or postponements, right? Did not get a bad response or anything like that, and it was perfectly reasonable for me to do that. However, if I'm not getting in there to react to every single person's posts that are up there for anything about the town. Once in a while, if someone has a question and it's not been answered on that site, I will contact them personally.
Yes,
I'm not putting something up there.
yes.
I make judgment calls about how I'm going to use Facebook or emails or anything else in terms of interacting with residents or anybody else who has any interest in the town. Whether it's Barbara, I'm not saying Barbara participates, or Casey, or anybody else who's a town official, and, you know, have them, thankfully, for instance, Gordon Andrews from the Finance Committee does occasionally get in there and participate. Hey, swell, I mean, he's made that judgment call as to how far he's willing to get into that.
Right.
I make a different judgment call for myself.
I understand. I do the same thing, Charlie. Unless I'm tagged and there's a specific question that I'm asked, I don't like to post on it, Halifax locals. But my question for you is, if we're not gonna allow any sort of posting on our page, how are you gonna handle private messages?
Well, I still have my own account personally, for instance. Also, the page itself can private message somebody
It
else.
can, okay. All right, that's the only question I have.
Well, I guess one question, is it hackable?
Not any more than Facebook is. I mean, if you set up a very weak password to get into that page, certainly, but we're learned a little bit about.
It won't be
doing that.
Halifax 123.
I just hate the thing that you set up a Facebook, somebody unauthorized put something on that puts the town in a
I'm not
tricky
gonna,
situation.
I'm not gonna say it's impossible, because it isn't, but it would take a lot more work.
We would know about it quick. We would all know about it quick because we would subscribe. And that's the other thing. Are you gonna have an open page that people can't post to, or do you have
No,
to?
I'm gonna have a page that people can't post to, it's simply gonna be announcements.
Right, but they don't have to be accepted by you to see your announcement.
No, because a page is different than a group.
Okay,
A
so you're not
group-
gonna do.
You can have, there are various types of groups. You can have an open
Yeah.
group, anybody can come in. You can have a group that has an administrator that has to give permission to Jane or John to be a member of that group. For
Right.
instance,
Yeah.
Halifax Locals is that type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm not doing a group. A page you can like,
Oh, yeah, that's not.
or choose not to like. Even if you don't like it, you can go to that page and look at all the postings.
Yes. Perfect.
How much time would you be spending on this?
Not a lot, because I got the website to worry about. But again, it's another avenue to get information out. And as I mentioned, given, basically we're sort of behind the curve on this, simply because, as an example, we have maybe 100 people who subscribe to the mailing list for the calendar of events that I send out every 10 days.
Mhm.
That's nothing compared to 2,300 people who are in Halifax Locals.
I like it, get it?
Thumbs up.
Just from reading this email, it just made me quite nervous
Yeah.
of possible problems.
There are lots of downsides to
Right.
social networking, but you try and make provisions for that and try not to get into that. The other thing is that whether we're as employees and volunteers and such, we have to be aware of what we're doing might, for instance, cause a hostile work environment. Or if you're there personally and you think you're there personally, you may be seen as representing the town. One of the reasons why I don't post very often
Yes.
as myself on behalf of the town of Halifax. Another thing is that folks who think that they've just sent a message that only 5 or 10 or 100 people have seen, no, you've basically made sure that 7 billion people can see it. Because once it's up there, someone can simply take a screenshot, turn it into a PDF, just copy and paste. They can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. It's there, it's done. It's the same thing we tell our
Can you
kids.
speak English for a minute?
Well,
There's a computer.
well, Troy, let me put it this way. Many people have picture phones now. They can take pictures with their
Yeah.
phones, right?
I got the Pope.
Bad enough.
Right, okay. I don't know that Pope Francis authorized that picture.
I know, but he did it.
Right, so, but Kim can now send that photograph to anybody she
And
wants to.
I did.
And once she's done that, all those people that she sent it to can send it to anybody else.
And they
Maybe
did.
it's not a nice photograph. Those are all the problems, and people, and we had that problem before computers. It was just not as easy necessarily.
May I make one statement? Your people are computer literate, you understand what you're talking about. If it's something that might work for the town in a positive way, I'll support it. But
Do you need a motion?
Yes, I would want a motion because it's gonna be the official Town Halifax page. If you're gonna say, no, don't do this, then we won't have one. Mind you, we have, as I mentioned, 8 or so departments or events
Yes,
that already have Facebook pages. Police Department has one, Board of Health, Youth and Rec, Halifax and Lights, Hollies and Halifax.
Dispatch,
Dispatch
fire.
now. Well, fire doesn't yet.
Oh, that's a
The
union.
firefighters have one,
Yeah,
but
the
not the fire
firefighters, that's a
department.
union. Okay, I will make a motion that we have a page, a Facebook page, that is unpostable, only likable.
You mean like the pager?
Yeah, just, yes, just like, trust me.
So you're gonna like or not like this?
Yeah, we're gonna, it's gonna be non-postable but likable, and I'm gonna like it
I'll second
with
it.
2 thumbs up.
I just want to caution that we don't spend a lot of time with it, because this can drag you off in the directions
Absolutely.
that you already can.
I know that
ill
more than
afford
anybody
time.
else in this
You can
building.
ill afford time right now, and I would suggest maybe the board, see how it's going and revisit it, to see that it's going well, or the next step.
Are you trying to say,
Because
we want to tell Charlie we're not paying them to be on Facebook, we're paying them to
Well,
do other things?
Yeah, because I'll tell you, and Troy, you must see this,
I do.
people walking around, they're at their phone, walking down the street and the sidewalk, and
Don't look at me.
they're on their phone. And you've been very good tonight.
I know.
I'm very
My
proud of
kid
you.
just, he only had one child bother me. He's
I'm very proud of you.
And I-
And your family's fine.
No, I know, but they like to let me know if they're home.
You've been very good tonight. I'm so glad, because it's just
What did they do
snapshot.
when you were gone? They were
So, I just, just from all these things you put in here, so you shot yourself in the foot a little bit.
No, I did not.
Well, no, that's
I-
why I'm giving you some pushback on it, is because of that.
I'm pointing out before anybody
Hostile
else
work
does.
environment,
Yes.
It's 10 o'clock at night.
harassment.
At this
I
conversation.
mean, these are your words,
Yes,
Charlie. These aren't
absolutely.
mine.
I understand that.
So as long as, you guys are aware of it, and Charlie doesn't spend all day on his Facebook playing with
If I'm
you.
gonna spend all day on my computer, I'm already spending all day on my computer. Outside of putting no trespassing signs up.
Judging me cool. All right,
So other than that, as long as I know it's, it's a work in progress. But there was one incident that happened over the winter that I know Bob got a hit on it. Hey, there's somebody complaining down here over by Ocean Ave. Bob went down and come to find out it's enhancing. So you can't always take face value for what the postings are on Facebook or your
Wow,
face page,
I'm amazed.
okay? So,
I thought everything on the internet was true.
Right.
If it's in the newspaper, it's true.
that was worth true enough that it went down to there and he had to check it, so gotcha. As far as he's saying, if you're saying that,
Well,
right?
you still check it out. If we got a phone call, we check it out. Facebook or a phone call, it doesn't matter, we check it out.
So just be aware. Any further discussions?
no,
All those in favor?
I,
Okay, OUI last week, 2 reports came into the board this week, one for the quarter October through December 2014. We had 2 incidents, and this is where timing is sort of an issue. One is for Y Garden, but the incident was back on April 9th of 2013, but didn't get adjudicated until October 14. Why it took so long, I don't know. I just got dates, I don't have.
We had him in there after that date.
yes, we have had him
Yeah,
here.
in the last year.
Right, yeah. We had also Grill 58, there was an incident on November 30th. The court case, though, was only 3 weeks later on December 17th. Then the first quarter for 15, the one that we just finished in March, there was another incident, this was Hawaii Garden on December 30th, the court case was the 21st. Given the track record, I would recommend the board send a letter to Grill 58, because I think this is the first one that we've had with them, where the person who had the OUI reported their last drink was there. But however,
At 58?
yeah. However, Hawaii Garden, I'm going to recommend the board consult with town council because unfortunately we seem to have a continuing problem there. And the thing is about the OUI data, it's extremely sketchy. The person's not under oath when they say, I had my last drink at such and such a locale and all that. So I'd like to talk with town council about what the board can and cannot do. Obviously, we can always bring somebody in, but anything past that, I'm not sure what evidence we would need to actually take action concerning a license based on the last drink data.
Yeah, I mean, because, I've had cases where people said, when I was in uniform, that was their last drink, because the place they were drinking, it was a friend of theirs, they didn't want to say it, so they used another name. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
and it happens to be on New Year's Eve, so that's,
Well, New Year's Eve, yes,
yeah, December 3rd.
which is New Year's Eve.
Evie, that's December 31st.
It's easy
And-
to second power.
And you're right, so, I heard, now and then you hear, when something like that, happens, would you wanna contact him and ask him, hey, we got this notice,
Well,
you investigate it and you tell us if you can anything, let the board know what, instead of calling right in, find out, we got a last call, what's the story? We've talked to you about this, who was on duty?
And if
Rather
it's-
than just,
And if it's the same person, then that person maybe should be looking for another job.
right? But at least we get more information ahead of time.
Yeah, but we don't get the reports until after. the-
yeah, I only got this report just yesterday.
Well, because the 2014 was only a day off from this year, so this is pretty quick.
Right.
The 2013, that was
Yeah,
100 years ago.
Yeah, and in this case, that report only got to us yesterday because the state only issued that report
Because the case
yesterday.
was,
And
right.
the case was for the previous quarter, for last quarter of third.
But I'm talking about for the most recent.
Well,
When, as soon as we know about it, we should be asking
Well,
these
and that's where we are right now. As soon as we know about it is today.
Right. So that's what I'm suggesting, even though you say contact Mayo and see where it goes, maybe we should be contacting these establishments. Hey, we got this report, what's going on? We sign your licenses off.
I think that's why Charlie's suggesting that we send a letter.
I can certainly ask both establishments for more information that might, but I don't know how much more information we're gonna be able to get from them, because they may not be aware that this particular person was even at the establishment on that day.
But it would raise a flag and say, oops, something's going on, we better,
I can certainly,
I think just putting them on notice that we've gotten this report, that they would, a little further.
If what you're gonna do is send a letter to
well, for Grill
Grill
58,
58,
we
and let
sent
them
similar
notify
letters
them
to
that there's been a report,
Right.
and they ought to check their P's and Q's.
but also, yeah, and make sure, but for Hawaii Garden, again,
Because we've had several incidents with
the
Hawaii
number of
Garden
incidents in Hawaii Garden is more than all the other incidents at all the other establishments.
combined.
True, very true.
Well, I won't get into that.
At least on this, there may be other incidents in other places, but based on the OUI last drink data, that's what we've got.
Well, I would move that we send letters to both establishments and then check, let them know that we have received these reports about the OUIs and allow Charlie to contact Mayo to see if we have any other course of action to take at this.
Or if we do, then we have,
Well, then it comes back to the board to, if they have a report, at least that way by contacting Attorney Mayo, I find out what is possible, what's not possible if the board wants to do something.
right, because it's really hearsay. Well, yeah, that's where I had my last drink, unless you catch them walking out the door, hopping in the car. It's you're pretty close to, that's a good guess, versus catching them down the road or from another town grabbing them.
Well, exactly. If you stop a person on the road, and I know it's difficult, having been in the police before, and you say, what was the last place you drink? The guy is drunk already. Do you believe what it says is correct? Or
Right.
do you even remember where the last place they were at?
So you're walking
Thin line.
the thin line. Correct.
Okay, so if the board would move that or approve that?
I will second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We just want to remind residents the last day for open burning is May 1st. We get the permits from the fire department. There's nothing after May 1st, there's no extensions or anything like that. For 15 Ocean Avenue, I did put up signs saying no trespassing and no parking. I wasn't joking about that. I'm going to have to replace a no trespassing sign since that's already come down. But all the cars are removed, so that's what.
Somebody took it down, though?
Yeah, within 24, 48 hours.
I keep telling you, you gotta tell the highway department, take one of those boulders over in your car,
Well,
down to it. Don't tell them.
I've already contacted the highway department both about putting boulders up and also if they had any time available to remove some of the debris that's on the property. Make it less attractive for further dumping.
Is it becoming a dumping?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, it is?
Memorial Day, it's coming up on May 25th. I didn't know if the board, we're sending out all the invites, so I didn't know if the board wanted to be participating.
Are we still gonna have the kite contest?
I expect so. I sent a note to Claudia asking if their school's going to be able to participate or not.
I mean, I plan on participating.
Isn't there a parade that day
Yes.
too?
Okay. Pam, what are we missing?
Road cut.
Yes, I saw the road cut, your favorite thing.
So, yeah, road cut.
Yeah. Nice favorite subject is road cut.
No,
Well,
three of those subjects.
It's more on my line of.
Is it a full cut,
It's in the blue.
half cut, quarter cut?
Buzz cut.
Is that the first one you want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first. 7 9th Ave, install new gas service with a possible 3-foot by 30-foot road. Possible 3-foot by 30-foot road to provide gas service. Install new gas line with a possible 3-foot by 30-foot
Bless you.
road. What does that mean? I know they're cutting across the road.
What is-
3-foot
sounds
road
like
cut, they left out cut. All right.
So, yeah, my guess would be the width is
3
or
feet.
length is
Like
3
30
feet
feet.
by 30 feet this way
Yeah,
across the
along the road.
And this is,
9th Avenue?
7 9th Ave, so it's down 7 9th Ave, so it's way in the beaten path.
Yeah.
There might not even be pavement there.
It's got weight.
And everybody's, police, fire, board of health, all okay. Trench permit?
Yep.
They had to get a trench permit?
They did.
They did? I know, I'm looking for the official, oh, there it is, sorry. Yep, okay, trench permit, no detail, okay, highway, water, conservation.
Good.
It's down his neighborhood. If he says it's good, I'm fine. Well, it's closer to his house than my house. I'm at the other end.
Well, I'm trying to get the highway department to come down and fix the new road they put in last year that's no longer.
No longer there?
No longer new. The trash truck came down and frost heat, it just went up to the trench, it's right down the middle of the road.
You want to make a motion?
Sure, you can make it.
No, do you want to make a motion?
Right.
I don't know.
It's late, folks.
I will make the motion that we allow the road cut for all the provisions that are in that lovely packet, and the address is 7
7 9th Ave?
9th Ave.
Is that right?
They got a date on that?
7 9th Ave.
I don't think we need it in.
3 foot by 30, so yeah, there's the cut. Nope, you got a dig safe number and,
Yeah, I looked at
it's
it.
out of the thaw and
I'll second it.
that was by 4/24/15. Oh, selectmen's office by 4/24. That was the second?
That's the Pam order. It tells them they've got to submit any comments by then.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go.
Now, we get a live entertainment permit next, Dave?
We do, yep.
Connecting Rides Auto Club up at the Walmart. We usually okay for the whole year, one permit, one go for the whole year. Any problems, complaints?
None that I'm aware of, they usually have a pretty good crowd up there too.
Fire police don't have any problems?
The antique cars.
No? So,
I'll make a motion that we approve the live entertainment permit for Walmart for the dates of, did they specify?
well, it's for connecting rides.
Weekly
Auto
cruise
Club.
nights.
Yeah,
Starting
cruise
May
night,
1st.
5/1 to 10/2.
So moved.
Fridays, weather permitting. Cruise night to raise money for Children's Hospital Miracle Network. That was a motion in a second?
I had been a second.
I second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And we already talked about the recycling? Yeah?
Yes,
This one here? Those are those four.
that's the one that we're going to ask for more information about.
And that's all we have from PM? What's that?
Cod,
For the ACO.
typical New England
Oh.
cod. It's C-A-R-D, card,
Yeah.
cod.
It's a cod. You came here.
You New England. It's Peabody.
It's a cod.
In that Peabody.
We have two of
It's
these?
a cod.
First time I ever come up there, somebody said, I was trying to get to Peabody. He says, Peabody? I said, yeah. You had a governor named Peabody. It spelled the same way.
Just the two front pages, Bill?
That's it, yeah.
Worcester,
Worcester.
it was Worcester.
Worcester.
Hero.
Haver,
You're good?
We have to go
I'm
into
always
executive
good.
session.
But yeah,
You're good?
I will make a motion that we.
Yeah, I got everything.
It's my favorite subject, and I was hoping I'd have some information today.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Toodles.
everybody.
Just thanks for coming by.
Executive session, this, the thing tomorrow, the meeting
Oh,
tomorrow about
the-
presentation where.
I mean, the
It's
coming
at the
core presentation
all-purpose room at 7 PM
at the elementary school.
at the elementary school. Department of Education, Secondary Education.
Center door as you drive up to the park.
Elementary and secondary education, yes, DES.
At what
I had to think
time?
about that.
Halifax.
That's my guys.
I
Hi.
remind myself sometimes.
Yes.
And
Not a place
just
to-
real quick, those reports you get, when it comes to OUIs, they come from the ABCC or the police department, the rest of the person?
ABCC.
And you just get those as they come?
yes, we should get them once a quarter, but they didn't do the quarter from October to
Gave us the
December,
whole
so
dollar.
sending it just yesterday.
And they're going executive, I'm not going in. So I'm gonna ask you more.
Yeah, he'll be available.
I'll
No, I
I'll try to
don't
answer
harass
some.
you any further than that. You guys are my favorites, you're much more fun than a lot of towns.
We
But
love
you go
it.
too late.
Who makes it the
You
most
start
fun?
later, that's the.
Who makes it the most fun?
Oh, it's not so hard.
I
The
was-
stand-up comedian on the
Who
corner.
starts the most, who starts the most trouble?
Listen,
Whoa, whoa.
Thank God that's not us.
I was blessed by the Pope.
I always tell people
That makes you-
that makes you exempt from anything that may go down.
Okay.
All right, one of my bones of contention, I want to ask Charlie, did you get any information
When you're talking with
on
Sandy,
solid waste?
in talking with Sandy, the reason the fund balance is so low is we used a lot of fund balance to fund the operating budget during this fiscal year. So that if we reverse it, if we use more of the operating revenues instead of the fund balance will go back up. So there's a possibility, not
Right.
this coming year, but the following year, that we'll be able to fund the barrels.
So that's odd, how that, you saw the steady,
Right.
you saw a steady growth and then a huge drop off. And we did what?
We use the fund balance itself. The reason why the fund balance is now is we use the fund balance for funding the operating budget,
Which we normally.
which we actually do. We use both fund balance and operating revenues, but we use portions for both to cover the whole thing. We could lower one and raise the other, in the sense of use more of the operating revenues and less of the fund balance, and that's, I think, our intention going into this town meeting, so we can get the fund balance back up.
Why did we do it this time? I mean, why do we do that?
Because we've had years with both the water department and solid waste where we couldn't prove there was sufficient revenue coming in to cover the next year's expenditures. And DOR could say, basically puts a stop on it, and says, sorry, you can't do that, you're gonna have to go back to town meeting. We had in fact go to, get some special waivers from them, for instance, on the water department.
Are we through with the camera person?
Well, no, because we're still, he's still. Yeah, I know.
I don't know when to quit.
This is close to my last time I can torture anybody. For a while,
See, he's the fun guy.
for a while. Yeah, even though
He's
this
in the guy in the back of the room, wait a minute.
But that, see, because you guys are gonna be doing this next thing, that, you know, when we review when do you review the
Probably
recycling?
about August.
Okay, and that's what we left knowing we had in there, and assuming that they had been going up. When that hit, I just didn't get it. I went back and I looked and I said, well, we were this high, why were we this high? And Charlie, after talking to Charlie and Sandy, they went back and checked, and that's what he's telling me, that's why we don't have the money for the buckets, and we're actually drawing pretty low to what we have in there.
Right.
But that's now gonna
We
change.
should be able to raise that number up next go around.
So, I mean, I don't wanna see my recycling bill double because something's going
Well,
on where we're not getting fees at all versus we were getting
Are you saying you
50,000.
would accept a triple but not a double?
Well, it was a $112,000 drop, not to mention it had been going up
And that's,
steadily, so.
that's an
it's
average
even
about
more.
$3 a person in town,
No,
right?
no, 15, there's 5,000 households approximately. Even at $3 is only 15,000. This went down $112,000. I mean, I thought we might have bought the loader out of this when I first saw it. You know, having flashbacks to that ambulance 5 years or 6 years ago that the little accountant, that's how it was sold anyways. But, all right, well, that helps, so we won't, it isn't,
You should not,
it isn't as bad, it'll balance off next year, and
you won't see,
obviously,
you should not see a significant change one way or the other. I'm not saying there won't be any change. There should be a doubling, for instance, of the recycling fee this coming year because of that.
because of the way we use the money.
Correct.
So you're saying it's 37,
It's
30,
$38 right now.
so it's gonna go to 70,
No, I'm not saying.
oh, you won't see it
No,
double?
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Correct.
I know it's late. When you go to do this, you can invite me back, I'd be happy to sit in the audience.
No, we're not.
And if you would pass off some of that
I will
information.
I'll tell you like I told the other citizens of town,
Hey,
please
you
call
want-
me, write me, or
Yeah.
attend a meeting.
No, because that was one of my things that I heard a
Mike,
lot,
let me
That's,
say
when
this,
that
Mike.
first came out, that's what everybody was,
I have to say this.
and I think because it's been a debate, and we've actually had a lot of debate, even though I've tortured you with it, I think a lot of people appreciate it, at least,
But
you know, they're trying, they're working
I was
on it, and
gonna, I
there's
was
a good
gonna say
discussion.
that I've enjoyed working with you the last day.
It still is our last day, but,
We're gonna see each other in a couple of weeks. Troy.
hey, you know, I'm doing a
No,
writing
I'm
petition now, you know,
I'm only
because
ribbing.
I just don't know,
I
you know?
appreciate anybody's opinion, even though we may not have agreed on everything. I enjoy sitting on the board with you, and hopefully whatever you do, it's gonna be good for you.
Or can get done.
He'll be in the audience every hour.
Well, that's what I'm afraid of. He's gonna go in the guy in the back of the room, whoa, wait a minute, hold.
Yeah, I just want to have a comfortable seat, I'll have to bring a cushion.
Now, there's a fundraising
At least you're
idea.
tall enough you can see with your hand
I
up.
mean, Kim, talk to him about doing a fundraiser for hops. We can sell hops cushions for town meeting.
Right, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I know what I got
We
today.
do koozies.
I haven't seen any signs for anybody, so I might be out there with a write-in, you never know.
We got koozies.
Yeah, oh, you do? I do koozies, but they gotta fit just right.
Okay.
I mean, see this? It fits this style can, you know,
Yeah.
but it don't fit in my holder where I get a thinner
Ours don't
can and a thinner one.
They
that will-
collapse. They
You
collapse.
gotta have one with the round bottom.
No, what
You know?
I think the width of the cup
Yeah,
holder
that's
is.
what I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about.
But some of the cans are
There's
wider.
something narrow that comes down and you slide them in.
Even some of the new cars, they don't even, the koozies won't fit in the holes now. Anyway, we're way off base. We're gonna go into executive session.
Would you like me to make a
Us.
motion?
We will not be coming back.
And no statements will be made.
No statements will be made. So we need a yes vote.
And don't
A
forget.
motion and a yes vote.
Yes, well, yes.
So moved.
So we have town meeting coming up, May 11th.
That's what I was about to say. Please turn out for the town meeting. It affects everything we do in town. It affects the money we spend, and it also affects your taxes. So please show up at town meeting and read your booklets that you received in the mail so you know what's happening at the town meeting. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Say goodnight, Dick.